Good evening. Happy Friday, folks. So I can already see the first comment outlines it beautifully. NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, and our boy Carlos. Yeah, pretty much. Now we got lots of playoffs going on, lots of it going on. So how has your collective week been going? Hopefully well. Hopefully well. So we'll see here what we got. We're starting to get everything together. Couple of fun things. We already spent a little bit. We did do the live stream on Tuesday where we talked a little bit about the whole BGS thing. We can bring a little bit of that up if we want to, but it's not really necessary. We did cover a lot of ground on it. But if there's something you guys want to talk about related to that, we definitely can. I did do a video earlier this afternoon talking a little bit about the Babe Ruth, the record-selling Babe Ruth card. Good evening, Jimas. Hopefully your Friday and week has gone well. But I did make a video talking about it, but I really wanted to focus on a certain aspect of it. And then tonight I'll kind of address the other part of it because there's a little controversy about a couple of things related to that record sale and then kind of the nature of that type of sale and things. And then after that, it's kind of whatever you guys want to talk about. We can talk about the playoffs. We can talk about what's going on. LeBron got eliminated, so that's kind of a big deal in the NBA side of things. NHL is going interesting. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Hockey says I should make a heel video laughing at the card crash and how much it doesn't matter to me. You know, I don't think the thought has not crossed my mind. The thought has indeed crossed my mind, but I need a real crash. This isn't good enough. No. I said it before and I'm serious. I need blood in the streets. Real blood in the streets. Then you cackle. This is like a warm. This is a paper cut. We need a lot more paper cuts. We'll get there, but we're not there yet. Good evening, Yannick. And Korean Cardboard, this is just regular iced tea. I wanted to start off with something other than water or beer, but I do have my beer here in front of me, and we'll get to that shortly. All right. And Bobby's hovering around, but once he's ready to join in, I'll click him in. But in the meantime, he's getting himself ready. Yeah, exactly. So good evening, Fresh Bread Sports Cards. No, that's Medano. That was from his ill-fated foray into playing for Detroit. His one season. I thought I would. I have plenty of autographed stuff already from Medano, jerseys and pucks and stuff like that. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to get something that was a little different because 99.9% of the stuff out there is going to be North Stars or Dallas Stars. Maybe All-Star game occasionally or some other stuff. There's some stuff in there. But I was like, all right, he played 1 year in Detroit. I'll acknowledge it. So it's a 16 by 20 from that 1 year in Detroit. I just thought it'd be fun to have something a little different. This is a good topic. I like this one. So, Bobby, just when you're ready, just give me a wave. Perfect. Let me do that and set this up here. And actually, this is a good topic. So how you doing this evening, Bobby? Nope. Give it a go. Round two. This is actually a good topic. I do want to get Bobby's thoughts on it because it's actually a really good question, Hockey. I like this one to start off with. It's a good light topic. And then we'll touch on the Ruth card. There's not too much craziness to it, but I do think it's worth discussing a little bit just because I want to kind of get your guys' thoughts a little bit as well. Because it was a lot of back and forth, and it was funny how quickly certain people reacted to certain things. And I'll talk about that a little bit just to get you up to speed if you're not already in the know about it. But it was very amusing to me. I did get a bit of a kick out of it. So we'll see what happens, but I'll get the story queued up here for when we get to that. But we'll start off with this one since it's a pretty good topic. All right, so we'll give it a go here. All right, Bobby, round two. What do you got?
Are we working?
We are good. Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Good stuff. So this is actually a good topic. I like this one as a nice light one to start off with because it's a good one. It's kind of an open kind of thing. So at the Dallas Card Show, Beckett did that panel with a bunch of content creators. It was kind of an open invitation thing where all you had to do was kind of let them know you were there and wanted to hang out. And they had a room and basically just kind of did a roundtable thing. And it was basically an open thing where any of them could record and, create their own content. But it was basically a wealth for Beckett to have basically put on the recorders, ask some questions, let people talk. And then he had stuff for his own podcast 15 minutes at a time. But he left it open where if you guys wanted to do the same thing, you were open to. So I think that's fair. I think that's very reasonable as long as everybody knows, hey, by the way, you could be recorded. Just so you guys are aware. But as long as everybody knew, they're all content creators anyway. So, hey, you should understand what you're getting into because you asked to come. So I thought that was fair. But there was some interesting stuff that came out of it. Did you hear anything related to it? I heard a little bit. I listened to some excerpts of it. There's certain pieces that I can address.
Not me, no.
No, sounds fair. So I'll touch on a couple of ones that came up to mind, but then we'll definitely get into it. So good evening, Paul. It's always about shamelessly plugging Greg Jeffries. We will get to that. Rest assured, we always get to shamelessly plugging Greg Jeffries cards around here. If it's not Ziggy Paul, it's Greg Jeffries. You know this, Paul. So good evening, Sanderson D'Or. So one of the things that I thought it was fine, in the sense that I don't mind that he did it. I don't mind that people came in and showed up. I did find it to be very much a love fest, for people in Beckett, which is, well, he invited and he's the one who provided the food. So I think it's only fair that you don't bite the hand that feeds you, literally. So I probably wouldn't do that. But it did become a little bit of a self-serving kind of round table where a lot of the topics centered around kind of just leaving people open to basically advertise themselves. The people who were savviest, I think, knew how to take advantage of that. Beckett, of course, understands how to speak when he's being recorded. And Jeff from Sports Card Investor, like he said the right things. But I take everything with a grain of salt, because you got to remember, at the end of the day, and I've alluded to this in videos before. When we do a video, we control the narrative. We control how we're seen. We control how we're perceived. We control what we say. On a live, it's a little trickier, but you can still control it. There's still an element of control. You can take a second, think about what you're going to say before you say it, instead of blurting out the first thought that comes in your mind. But how you present yourself, you control that. What you choose to talk about and not talk about, you control that. And when you're in that environment where you know you're being recorded, you can weigh your words very carefully. And then, of course, editing can get a lot of things done, because even in Beckett's thing, he's only covering 15-minute segments. So if something was said in minute 16, it didn't make the cut. So it's like anything, unless you're physically in the room hearing everything that everybody says, you don't know the full picture. You're going to get a sliver of the picture. And if any of them create their own content from it, you're going to get a sliver of that picture. So I think it was interesting. I think it's a model most likely going forward. I wouldn't be shocked if something similar was done at the National. Maybe Beckett hosted, maybe somebody else hosted. I wouldn't be shocked. But at the same time, it's like, I take everything that comes out of it with a grain of salt. So that's kind of the angle that I would take on that. That seem fair? Anything you want to add to that, Bobby? Just conceptually?
No, I did watch it. And sorry, I was busy doing something.
Yep.
Yeah, I did watch it. Everybody said what they needed to say. It's interesting. Beckett said back in the day, they used to, they paid $90,000 to somebody to go around and get card values or something like that. I think that's what he was saying. Who was that? Rich? I forget the guy who was sitting on the one side he worked for Beckett there.
Yeah, it was Rich Klein.
Rich Klein, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're saying that back in the day is what they used to do. My understanding is they used to call different, card stores and what have you, just get their opinion of what things are selling for back in the time period. So, I found that to be interesting that they paid somebody to $90,000 to go around.
Well, bigger card shows you could. Bigger card shows you could go, because you only had we didn't have eBay, so you only had so many ways of recording any transactions. And calling card stores like in the middle of the day and asking that question, it gets very tricky, because it's like, okay, I don't remember. I sold it 2 days ago, $100.
Exactly.
Like, even if you're not trying to mislead, even if you're actually not trying to mislead, like, how do I remember? Unless I took records. And the odds are, like, cards, you can sell a lot of cards in a day, in bulk lots, in group lots. Like, it changes the price around. Like, there's a lot of factors. At a card show, maybe you have a chance to physically witness, pre-vlogging on YouTube. You have a chance to witness the transaction, so maybe you get a better sense of what actually occurred because you at least saw it with your own eyes, at least an aspect of it. So that gives you at least some context, potentially, if it's certain types of cards. So I could understand somebody going around at least trying to get a gauge for the land, the lay of the land a little bit for certain cards. Not everything, but certain cards.
Yeah, I did also hear that, someone was chewing chips loudly, so I didn't watch it too long.
Sure. So good evening, Jeff, and good evening, other Jeff McMahon.
Sorry, I was just sorting my cards I just picked up. Hockey cards.
Yeah, are these like the chips cards, or what was it?
Actually, they're York peanut butter cards.
Oh, peanut butter. I knew it was a food product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they came in under the jars.
Yep.
So underneath.
Yeah, right underneath the lid.
And then underneath the lid, that's where they would put the cards. There you go.
That's actually not a bad spot for a food product, to be honest.
Well, back in the day, what would happen with peanut butter? They didn't have it. It wouldn't stay solidified as long. You know, they didn't have any xanthan gum to thicken it up or something. So the oil would separate. And if the jar got tilted, then the oil could seep through. And there's a lot of stains on these cards, and these ones are like dead mint. There's a Bellevue. It's just like perfect.
Yeah, they got them cut in like a stop sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyways, I picked up a set of those.
Good, clean looking. What year were those?
These they were 2 years. The Yellowbacks were the first year, 61-2, when they didn't put out the York peanut butter glasses, and then they did the other ones in 63-4, which were the Whitebacks.
Nice, nice. Sounds fair. So here I'll put in a couple of comments here. So Hockey says, I thought the panel sounded like a bunch of people getting along by a campfire. Well, yeah, that's the reason why I presented it the way that I presented it. I said everybody knew they were being recorded. So, like, you know this, you're not... Let's put it this way. Any debate you're going to have is going to be the friendliest, most controlled debate on earth, and it's not going to require a moderator. It's just not. Because you knew, like I said, you knew what you were walking into a place where... Just assume there's a camera or recorder on the whole time and act accordingly. Even if you disagree fundamentally with what somebody said, you probably were going to pick that spot to get into a screaming match with them, and that probably wasn't going to make it.
It's kind of funny that one question that did go around, they were talking about it's hard to make content. Like we're having struggles getting content. It's like, if you're having struggles, why are you doing it? Just if you should have content all days. I could talk about these cards and everything for 50 years, and it would never end. You know, you got to have content. If you're there, you got to talk about something. What's happening in the news? What's going on? You know, create something. Do a little research. Do something. Just my opinion.
That sounds like hashtag effort.
Hashtag too bad.
There you go. So Hockey says, nice cards, Bobby. There you go.
Thank you.
But that's basically just think about it that way. Whenever you get that kind of a grouping, I take it with a grain of salt. I listen to it, I observe it, I pay attention, but at the same time, and I know Ziggy made a video about that where he keyed in on the conflict of interest one, and I go, it was an interesting discussion, but it's like, I'm not getting much out of it in 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, it lets 2 or 3 people talk, and then that's where you get to have a little bit of fun going like, oh, well, these people didn't say anything. It's like 15 minutes. If one person talks for like 5 minutes, that's basically a filibuster. Like, it's a very short piece of content. You need a little bit longer version because you're not really getting an accurate read of the room. You're getting a snippet, a clip.
Well, I think they do well on attracting people by putting big billboards and the top this or these are the things I would never do and all those things. And once you get on the site, it's like, hey guys, I just I was going through my okay. Well, there's some good ones out there. There's some good ones out there, but
yeah. The thing though, in fairness, Bobby, you're leaning in content is you're looking for a lot more of the informational content, which is really good, but it's also niche.
Well, hobby news.
Yeah.
Anything interesting. You know, like the card. We'll probably talk about the Babe Ruth.
Oh yeah, we will because there's some fun stuff with that one. But yeah, it is possible to do that kind of content. I do think you have to. I think it requires the right voice because if you try to switch between doing a more serious like news topic and then also trying to be like a gimmicky, you know, you got a fun intro or whatever, it's like, am I taking you seriously or am I not taking you seriously? Yeah. What are we doing? You can do it, but it's a very delicate... You have to establish the gravitas first.
You can do it well.
Yeah. You have to establish the gravitas first, and then you can play around with it a little bit. Mm-hmm. And Fresh Bread here says they were just there for the free food. Well, yeah.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, bro. Chick-fil-A. Come on.
Chick-fil-A and loud potato chips.
Dude, come on.
Probably went hardcore and went Doritos on them. Those are extra loud.
That sounds to me like a man who wishes he was there to enjoy the Chick-fil-A and Doritos.
No, I wouldn't like the Doritos.
There you go. But you didn't reject the Chick-fil-A.
I would give it a shot.
There you go.
Here's the card.
Okay, so let me real quick, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'll quickly summarize, just so we're all on the same page here. So 1914 Baltimore News Babe Ruth. So this is kind of Babe Ruth pre-rookie. Because it's from when he played for the Baltimore Orioles, the minor league team version of the Baltimore Orioles. So this is before he went for the Red Sox and before he played for the Yankees. So this is a really early piece. A couple of points I made in the video as well, and I'm going to repeat them here. For me, it's a bit of an ugly card. I'm not a big fan of the aesthetic of it. However, is it a significant and important card? Yes. Is it a scarce card? Undoubtedly. Totally 100%. It is a very scarce card. If you are a Babe Ruth hardcore collector, this is a holy grail type card. This is a big deal for you. And does it have value? Tremendous value. No question and no doubt. No doubt. But a couple of things come in there, and I can see a couple of comments here, so I'll touch on them quickly. Elephant in the room was a sports card investor and card ladder being in the same room, and Jeff mentioning card ladder by name, hoping for some footage of the awkwardness. Never was going to make it. They could have literally fought, and everyone would have been sworn to secrecy. I guarantee that. There could have been blood, and you would get nothing. I'm just throwing it out there. And Paul's making reference to a comment he made about the monorail. I'll explain a little later for the comment, but I just include his comment on here. So the thing is, for me, it's not the most exciting card in the world. But is it a rare card? Yes. Is it an important card? Yes, 100%. So I got no issue with that. Now, again, does it have value? I have no doubt. It has tremendous value. But the question became, so the controversy is this. Sold for a record price. The previous record price was the possibility of
How many years ago was that?
The current sale price?
No, the previous record price.
The previous one, the previous one was about 500,000, and it was back in. I'll scroll down. It was included in the article here. 2008. So Robert Edwards. So
that's a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while for sure. And in the current market, no doubt it's more than that. It's $1 million plus card, easily, no question. Multi-millions, you can sell me on that, no worries. But the controversy comes from this. Collectible made a big deal about, record price, and the previous record price was the 52 Topps PSA 9 that sold for 5.2, which was a private sale. And the problem is all these new top tier record highs are all private sale, which has its own murkiness. But this one added another layer of murkiness because we don't actually know how much it sold for. So initially, in a lot of the advertising, the way they presented it is they presented it as a $6 million card. The problem is that it's a $6 million valuation. That's what they put on it for their potential IPO here that they're going to do, where they're going to include 1% ownership stake in this card at $60,000, which would be 1% of $6 million, at $3 a share, in order to entice people at a really low price. But you're getting a fraction of a 1% stake, which is to say you have nothing. Literally, you have nothing. It's so little as to be inconsequential.
That's like throwing a brick in the Grand Canyon.
It's nothing. It really is truly nothing. So in reality, and Paul made the point in his comment, he actually wrote a very excellent comment, so I want to give Paul his credit. But there's one particular point he made in there, and I'm paraphrasing. In reality, if you think about it, what Collectible announced, and I like the way he presented it, and I'm inclined to agree. In reality, what Collectible presented us is a $60,000 IPO. Because the $6 million is wonderful. It's imaginary. It's a theory, and I'll get back to the valuation piece in a second. But in reality, all they're offering is an IPO of $60,000, which in the current state of the hobby is literally peasant money. It's nothing, especially for a card of this caliber. It's like you might get like a small sliver. If we slice this up into thousands of pieces, you might get a small sliver of it. It's nothing. And the thing is, the $6 million valuation is rife with its own problems. But before I get to that part, let's get to the other part. We don't know how much the private sale was for. We know it was north of 5. So immediately this created a bit of a controversy, and card porn went into it.
How can they state a record price if there is no price given?
So here's the thing: you can state it, and you can say, and this is the way Ezra decided to do it. And he went on the Lucas Tigers and Bronze podcast and tried to basically defend it. He's basically explained that the seller, and I'll get to this part where I have a problem here as well in a second. But what happens is, so real quick here, let me grab this. Yeah, so tax issues don't prevent us from dealing with Collectible. And also, it's not open. Exactly. Perfect. Thank you, Fresh Bread. And how come they never show the back of the card? They do.
Yeah, it's on the next scroll.
Yeah, it's right down here. It's just a smaller image. So I wanted to, actually, I might be able to blow it up.
Is it a schedule? It's hard to see.
Yeah, I think I can blow it up a little bit. Bear with me for a second, guys. Let me switch over to the other one here. Let me stop sharing for 1 second.
Sure.
And let me switch over. That way you get a better view of it.
Yeah.
I think I can show you a better view.
Then we can have a look.
There you go. That's a better picture. So yes, they do show the back of the card. It's a schedule for the International League because it's that Baltimore.
I love that. There's a schedule on the back that adds a lot of je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, and that's classic. Like this is very standard for the time period. It was a promo for the team of the Baltimore News.
Is it a card or a schedule though?
It's kind of in that middle ground. Maybe
maybe it's backwards.
There you go. Exactly.
Oh.
So here's the thing. The problem that this creates is that you can state that a transaction occurred where two parties, the money changed hands of over 5.2 million. And when Ezra went on there, he basically said that the seller wanted to remain anonymous, which, by the way, is not an unusual arrangement. Sometimes that happens. That's fine.
Fair enough.
But most of the time, even in that arrangement, if you bother to publicize it at all, you still state the dollar amount that this transaction occurred for, because you want to claim a record. You have to kind of. Now, Ezra says, it's like, oh, well, we saw an affidavit from his lawyer and records of wire transfers showing the dollar amount. And I'm like, that's great for you, but we can't see that. So I'm just listening to you tell me that you have it, which for legal reasons, you probably aren't going to lie about that, given that you'd have to answer to the SEC and whatever. But a lot of people just go, oh, okay, so you saw a thing. Well, but that's not good enough. You're claiming a record. And also, we don't even know what the record is. If you and I do a transaction for 5.4, did we break the record? Now we have to go ask Ezra because he's the only one who knows. He goes, oh, you almost broke it. You're really close. It's like, how close? So a record isn't a record if you don't actually have a number associated to it. And also, and my secondary problem with it is that, record or not, all we know for sure is that it's north of 5.2. It's given that they gave a $6 million valuation, which again, I'll touch on in just a second. I'm assuming it's under 6. So if we assume the valuation is at least higher than what the guy actually paid for it. So let's assume this to be true. And if this is true, then we're pretty sure it's north of 5.2 and under 6. So we have a pretty good idea where the ballpark is that this price is in. Why are you so intent on hiding this price? Why do you care? You as the buyer can be anonymous. I don't care who you are, to be perfectly blunt. I don't care. You can be Joe Blow. I don't care. But the difference between 5.2 and 6.0 is $800,000. Can you tell us where in that range you fall? I don't think that proprietary information is so secretive. It's like, we know you spent more than 5.2. Are you worried someone's going to make fun of you? You spent 5.5 when we think it should have been 5.4, but we valued it at 6? What difference does it make?
That's 2 points of hearsay there.
But that's the thing. It's like I'm working off of the best logic I have. What I'm saying though is you already spent a lot of money and you cared enough about people knowing about it to make sure they knew it was a record. If you're so private, well then we should have never heard about the sale. It should have just happened. You have the card and you go on about your business. And Ezra tried to make that pitch. Oh, it's good for the hobby because, he wanted people to know. It's like, well, he clearly didn't want people to know because he doesn't want us to know how much he paid for it.
Good for what part of the hobby? The super millionaires, or
the part
has
that
nothing
likes
to do with us. Well, if they're going to offer fractionals, that's fine, and derivatize the hell out of it. That's another problem too. So,
yeah, exactly. But that's what made me laugh. I was just like, whatever, dude. Like, you're being partially secretive, but you're being secretive in the one part that you should probably be okay with sharing. This is the dollar amount is the only part that matters. You could literally be the most anonymous person in the world. You can hide in your underground volcano base. That's perfectly fine. No one is going to look for you. I don't care about you. I just want to know if you're saying this is a record, which I have no reason to doubt it is the case. I'm sure somebody spent a lot of money on it, but there is a big difference between 5.2 and $1 trillion. Where do we fall in that range?
It was $1 billion.
I can only hope. And if that's the case, you should be bragging about that. Like, stop it. So I'll get to the valuation here in a second. So is this good being in the news good for SGC? Yes and no. It's good in the sense that it enforces that SGC is a big player in the world of vintage. And they have been for years. Like, it's accurate. It just enforces their existing reputation. So they definitely have that. And Honus Wagners are an SGC holders. Like, they have a good reputation in the vintage realm. So here, maybe the price valuation is going for a PSA 3 value. Yeah, exactly. And we don't know what that would go for. Like, we don't actually have an answer. Like, we have no idea.
What kind of comp can you get from something else that compares this?
Exactly.
There's no comp.
No.
Honus Wagner, it's actually rarer than the Honus Wagner.
Correct. Yeah. But it's also a less iconic card than the Honus Wagner. Because even if you're saying Babe Ruth, you'd probably lean towards one of his rookies or something that is considered to be his rookie. Because as interesting as this is, it is a minor league issue. However you want to present it, it is not a rookie card. It is a minor league issue. an interesting one, a fascinating one, but it's not aesthetically attractive. It's not iconic. It doesn't show him in the Yankees. It doesn't show him in the Red Sox. It's in his International League team, which is cool for a history buff, a
Yeah,
baseball history buff. This is a cool piece of history,
sure
but
it is.
it's not an iconic piece. It's an expensive piece. There is a difference. You can have one without the other.
I guess 34 Good A is, that's
Yeah,
the card.
yeah, that's the card. That would be like one of his major iconic cards, one of his big ones.
Yeah, this is an interesting card. I really like the rarity of it. I
Yeah.
just can't understand how they can comp it out. Everything is comparable. I guess that's where they get comp.
Mhm.
But there's nothing comparable to this card.
Yeah.
It's almost like Burt Corbeau-ish. It's so obscure. And how do you
But
put
imagine the
$5
Burt
million?
Corbeau situation. But
Yeah,
imagine the Burt Corbeau situation though, but with an Art Ross. You need a better player. Like you're taking the same
yes.
situation, but then you're elevating the player to the player is iconic. The player is Mount Rushmore.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but the card itself is a lot of people didn't know this card existed.
How could they not? 14
Yeah,
of them.
exactly. Yeah,
Hiding under, this is a big iconic card. It should stand out.
it stands out, but most people didn't know existed. I assure you, most people are not thumbing through their SCD. They're just not. The 1914 Baltimore, the 1914 Baltimore News, Babe Ruth didn't come up a lot.
Hmm.
So it's one of those things. It's there.
Probably be on a cover of a magazine over the years or a few times, and
It would have had to have been like I said, the last one sold in 2008.
that's a long time.
Yeah, it doesn't come up very often. Yeah, it's more a lot of Prism Dragger CHL cards. Yes, absolutely, totally, but it's still a minor league issue. It's one of those things. Like it is 100% a great. It is a bigger than normal card. It's not like a maybe like an exhibit card of a Hall of Famer. If you get an exhibit card of a Hall of Famer that predates, this card might exist, but I forget off the top of my head. There might be an exhibit of Jackie Robinson or a Zenith of Jackie Robinson for the Montreal Royals, which would predate him with the Dodgers. I believe there is a Montreal Royals card of some kind. I could be mistaken, but someone could correct me on that. I believe there is. So, and Jackie Robinson is an iconic player, historical player, great player. But you're still going to want the Jackie Robinson rookie card more than you're going to want the Montreal Royals card. Even though
Yes.
the Montreal Royals card arguably is a rare card. Tougher to come by. So again, scarcity works well with this card. The iconic status of the player works well with this card. It has the prestige, but like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people don't know it exists until now, where now they've been told there's a record price. They're like, oh my God, what is that thing? Because they didn't know it existed. They didn't know it was a thing.
And it doesn't really much matter. It's so out of the price range. It's
Correct.
It's more for historical significance than anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I believe. So it's a great card. I love that it has a schedule on the back. The red border back in that early time, that's great. I think it pops.
Yeah,
That
it's
you
very
can
colorful.
see a team.
On the
Yeah.
black border, the color pops very nicely. It's a good presentation, a really good presentation in the holder.
Yeah, does help. Nice card.
I've teased SGC for their president, but their holder looks really good with cards like this. It presents tremendously well, and I would have no issue having a card like that and a holder like that where it looks great. That part has never been in question.
Yeah.
So, grab here. Maybe it's just considered a schedule part of the hobby boom. The boom marketed as a card. Yeah, could be. It's one of those. There's a lot of stuff that becomes kind of murky because you're like, okay, so what's the function of it? What do you want to consider it? No matter how you consider it, I'm just going to treat it as a great historical relic, a rare piece of hobby and baseball history. It's got all that. It's got the scarcity to match. It's got the iconic player. It's got all the components you want, which makes it a shame that the conversation has to shift to like, why can't you just be honest? If a transaction occurred, which again, I have no reason to doubt it did. I'm sure some rich guys traded some money. But just say what it is, because then we're not worrying about that. Then we can focus on the second part of it, which is your ridiculous valuation based on nothing. So we'd be focusing our conversation on that. Does the 6 million make sense? But first of all, we're not even knowing what we're starting with because it's like, yeah, it sold for more than 5.2. 5.2 and $1? That would be more. Can you be more specific?
I wouldn't be surprised in next year you see another one come up. But fresh bread, I always said, maybe you consider it a schedule. I said that, but obviously the back, you can see it's scheduled because of the gray back, and then the front is obviously the printed front. So it isn't a schedule. It's just scheduled back. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. And either way, like I said, it is a fascinating piece. No matter how you want to look at it, it is a fascinating piece of an icon. So it is without a doubt. Pop culture icon. Probably pretty close. I would say Babe Ruth ushered in the era of the sports celebrity, and he became the biggest sports celebrity in the States, without a doubt, for his time especially. I'm just trying to think if anybody would have been there and surpassed it just before he really started getting going, because it would have been in the late teens, early 20s, probably when he got to New York, when he really started to take off as like a national star. I have to think about that one. That's a good thought though. It could be. It could very well be the case. But that's why I say, like, I don't question that there's tremendous value here. I don't question that. I question that you created the scenario, and it's funny because during that interview, I felt like Ezra was very uncomfortable. He was trying to be slick, but it's like, you're not smart enough to be slick here. You're trying real hard. But the more you're trying to be clever, and you kind of trying to talk your way around this, it's like it actually makes it more suspicious the way you're doing it. And by the way, I think a transaction happened, and I have no issue with the idea that somebody paid more than 5.2. I just think the fact they're so shy they don't want to be seen, which is fine. But they're not shy in the sense that, oh, I'll announce it's a record, but don't tell them how much. What, you're shy about how much you spent? That's my issue with that first segment. Second segment, the valuation. So valuation, to your point, there's no comp. Like what do you compare it to? Do you compare it to another Ruth card? Do you compare it to a card of the time period? Do you compare it to a card of equivalent scarcity? Like, it's very difficult. What throws it off, and this is where I always say there's a balance. Scarcity is important. Popularity is important. But if something's really obscure, or if it's priced at a price point where most people aren't going to be able to buy it anyway, you reduce the demand anyhow. At a certain price point, there's tons of people who would be willing to make a play at this. But past a certain point, it's like, okay, look, I'm interested, but I'm not interested at 5 and 6 million. Doesn't matter how much money I have. I don't want to pay that much for it. It's really cool. But there's other cards that are, to me, more iconic for Ruth that I would choose first. But if you're somebody who must have the rarest and the finest known of a rare piece, then this would be right up there, because you could basically be the rich version of, what's the term I'm looking for? It's the people that basically say I was on this before it was cool. I'm blanking on it, but anyway, basically you could be a snob about this and be like, you're not sophisticated enough to understand the significance of the 1914 Baltimore News Route. It's like, dude, it's a really ugly red card. It's a very rare red card, and it is a great player, but it's real ugly. It's not aesthetically attractive. It's not.
Scrooge McDuck. I love that.
Sure. Yeah. But it's one of those things where, like, it can be done. Like, you can sell this card, and you can sell it for a ton of money, and you'd have no issue there. Here we go. So, a book on Man of War. Let's see. Claim Baby Ruth wanted to be more than a Man of War jockey. Oh, okay. So he's talking about basically salary-wise. He wanted to make more than the jockey. Oh, okay. Man of War was a horse. Gotcha. Now I understand you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was making over $100,000 a year, and then Ruth eventually did get there. He became a $100,000 a year player.
Yep.
One of the richest athletes at that time period, without a doubt, and deservedly so, because he was a box office draw too. Like, the house that Ruth built is not a misnomer. He basically created the justification for that team, who had won nothing prior to his arrival, and they were the New York Highlanders, and they were just kind of there, and then they became a dynasty that continued for decades even after he retired. It continued on. Once the ball got rolling, the Yankees became a steamroller for years. But as far as I guess the last piece, as far as that whole comp business goes, is Collectible has this reputation with me of when you try to do the great powerful Oz behind the curtain. It's like we speak to experts, we talk about it, and then we go in and we try to come up with a number, and it's like, well, the problem is I want to see your methodology, because otherwise you just made up a number. When you're talking about experts, yeah, okay, so who'd you talk to? You talk to some auction folks? Great. Which ones? I guess since he's an expert now, did Golden get the seat at that table? Did you have a panel? Like who got to talk about it? Like because Golden is the one selling the multi-million-dollar things. How about one of the guys at Heritage? How about one of the like? There's only so many people that could have at least some experience selling something of this scarcity and value who might be able to chime in with their 2 cents. Like there's not that many. So it becomes a very short list. Are those people on your list? Because if they're not, then I question who you got.
Well, you can take a lot of different angles on this card. It is what it is. Being 14 known, that's really good. Minor league, that's not so good. Babe Ruth, that's really good.
Yep.
You know, you can go back and forth on so many different issues.
Yeah, there's a list of pros and cons here, and
Sure.
I would say the pros do outweigh the cons more
Yes.
than anything else. That's what I said. Like it's a historical piece, but you're still running the same problem. It's like you're still kind of making up a number because there's nothing comparable on the market that I can put it to that it's like, oh yeah, it's like that. No. Agagi says the Polar Grounds. Yeah, that's where New York started prior to making the original Yankee Stadium. They were sharing with the New York Giants before they became a more popular team and eventually took over New York. But as a shame because the Polo Grounds, like historical stadiums, if there was a stadium, historical stadium that doesn't exist, that I would want to visit, the old Polo Grounds. I want to see the old Polo Grounds with the ridiculous configuration. I want the one with the flagpole in the middle of center field that looks ridiculous. Like that thing. It's like a horseshoe shape. It's like this ridiculous thing. I was like, I would just want to sit there and be like, so you played baseball with like this? Like this? Like 520-foot fence? It's just very different. Very strange. Very strange. But I would have loved to have seen that. That would have been very interesting. But the thing is that once you come up with this comp, then you're basing your IPO based on that comp, and then like I said, you're only doing 1%. And then to add kind of a mystifying element to it, you still want it to be out there, so it's at the Babe Ruth Museum, and it was there, and it will remain there. So it's like the person isn't even going to take custody of it; they're going to leave it there to be visible. Well, good on you, I guess. So that's good. People will still be able to see it. That's cool.
Yeah.
So that from that perspective, I have no complaints. But like I said, it still leaves you, like I said, Collectible to me got off on a bad foot with this by leaving a lot of murky things and then trying to sell it after the fact and doing some damage control. It's like, guys, you either are forthcoming or you're not.
I guess I'm looking at the reason behind why they left those things out. There has to be an ulterior motive to why they didn't give you a price and why they noted the sale.
Well, for collectible, it's easy. For collectible, if the seller says you're not telling the dollar amount or I'm not giving you my business, then that's it for them. And now, why do they not want to do that? That part is a mystery. No idea. But at the same time, from collectible standpoint, look, even bad publicity style, it's still publicity.
Yeah. Like, any publicity is good publicity. Yeah, I get it.
So like it still has some value.
But it leaves, like you said, it's very murky, and it makes us think of an ulterior motive of what they're trying to do here and who the real owner is. Would it be a fractional company? I don't think so. We don't know. So why even really talk about it? It's kind of funny because if you don't know how much, why is it big news? It's the card. One sold in 2008. They want to set a record. Okay. Someone paid $5 million. Someone could have paid $50 million. Does it really matter at that point?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like I said, the Lucas, Tigers, and Braun guys, they walk this fine line, this delicate balance. So I want to include Paul's comment here, and all this for 60,000 because at the end of the day, Collectible is really doing only a 60,000 IPO. Now, I did mention in that other video that I did, I want to keep it separated because that's a different. It's a more speculative conversation, the one that I included in that video, because all I said is there was a throwaway line where they threw out the possibility they may have another series of shares down the road. And if they do, you've complicated this whole comp business a lot. And my point was, you're doing 1%. They're $3 a share, 20,000 shares. What happens if the shares double in price? Does that mean the comp is now 12 million? It's hard to argue it, but it's also hard to argue that it's not, because you're saying if that's 1% and the value doubled, then shouldn't we double the value of all of it? I guess so. Technically. And if you do more shares, then do you sell them? I just making up $6. But then if you put more shares out, do you put them at $6? Are they special in some way? Do they get special voting privileges the other ones don't? Do you separate them out? Did you just dilute it by putting more out there? Like, there's a lot of these things that make it more complicated. It's not as simple as, oh yeah, just make more shit. No, it's not that simple. You had to do it a certain way, and now you're adding more to it. You have to be very careful how you structure that.
Governments are good at that. Print more money. Yeah.
Yeah. But the reason why I brought it up is that back in October when I was talking about it, I brought up that possibility and I left it open. And then I saw that line in the article and I go, whoa, I was waiting. And it's like, okay, well, I can go to the tape. Carlos in the past already talked about this. And now Carlos in the present is going to bring it back up.
Oh, he's hiding in the stove, is he?
I was waiting. I was waiting. I knew there would come a time they cannot resist. I do love me some insatiable greed, Bobby. I do love me some insatiable greed.
All right, Mr. Third Party. Hockey 99 says, yeah, we know it's about the cash, but we're wondering which avenue.
But straight cash homie is important. The verbiage is correct here. The straight cash homie. Randy Moss would approve.
I understand. Yeah. I like to see the avenue where that cash is being delivered.
Sure. And like I said, though, I think the big point, though, is that right now, for all the effort and all the flack they're going to take in certain circles and praise in other circles and all this stuff, it's for 60,000. Like, it's literally for a pittance. Relatively speaking, this is for a pittance. If it was like a 10% or 20% of the thing, okay, at least you're getting something out of this. It just seems like such a minor amount, almost not worth it. I like to think secretly that the real conspiracy is that Ezra was just thinking, I bet Carlos and Bobby could have some fun in this conversation. I bet Carlos could get some great content out of this.
I think they did it just for us.
Sure. And you know what? I'm appreciative. I am appreciative. So I thank him. I thank Ezra for whatever stupid thing he came up with here and whatever nonsense they decided to do, because it was a lot more interesting than just having a straight number and just having that out there. But I guess so. Yeah, reverse split coming up. So we'll see. There's some machinations you could do. There are things you could do. I would just love to see what it would look like. I left it open just in case it does come to pass, because then at least I've laid the breadcrumbs out and be like, okay, so what did they actually do? How do they actually go about this? I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll see. I did want to include this in there. The Montreal bit kind of overshadowed it, but I don't want to miss out. So will his 1991 Czech UD rookie ever be worth $6 million? Listen, I like to think if you're talking the Ziggy Palffy rookie here, Ruth's great and all, but you're talking go to goats. Not 6 million, my friend. 60 million. At least. And there's more than 14 of them out there. So that market cap's like in the trillions, quintillions, higher number than quintillions.
But that's again when a loaf of bread will be 6 million.
Well, probably. And then we can trade a loaf of bread for a 1914 Baltimore News Babe Ruth.
Yeah. There we go.
Seems legit to me. I like it. I'll make that trade. I suppose that's fair.
So Babe Ruth is the $6 million man, Steve Austin, not the wrestler. Mm-hmm. The $6 million man show, if you ever saw that.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know. Most of the guys out there have.
Yep. So any thoughts on StarStock finally offering hockey cards? Well, good for them. It's about time. They did need to expand their offerings. That's good. I haven't looked into on them in a while, though. I'm curious. Maybe you guys can tell me. Have they started doing a better job of turning around for the people that do actually ask for the cards? I'm curious if they've been able to fix some of their logistical issues in getting cards out for folks that actually want the cards. I'd be curious because I knew they were having a struggle with that, processing either intake and also sending out. I'm wondering if they've overcome some of those. Like everybody else, they got to hire more people, and I'm sure they have a building because everybody has a building.
Were they not on one of the blogs or one of the Dallas shows or something?
Oh, I'm sure they were. Like I haven't seen anything specific about StarStock. I haven't heard from them too much in a while. They're still out there doing stuff, but I haven't heard too much about them lately. But we'll have to see. But for me, it's like, yeah, they've been kind of in the same boat as everybody else. Oh, we're hiring. Of course you are. just say there's a building and I will hit the square in hobby bingo. All of you got to say it. All of you have to say it. You got to get a building and hire some people.
B4.
Oh, there you go. I didn't know that one. Is that true, Bobby? Andre the Giant was in $6 Million Man?
Yeah, he played.
Nice.
He played.
Well, he says Bigfoot here.
Yeah. Oh, he played Bigfoot. Yeah, that's right. I was thinking. Cool. I was thinking the Hulk played someone else. That was something else I was thinking. Sorry.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. He was.
That's a good cameo. That's a good solid cameo.
Oh, he worked into that role pretty well.
Well, Under the Giant, people forget, Under the Giant was a pop culture icon. He
Oh
was in
God,
his day. In his day, Under the Giant was an attraction, and he was an icon. And he got out there. He was on shows and stuff. Like he
everybody
was
knew
there.
his name in the '70s. I'll tell you, growing
Yeah,
up, we
yeah. He
all
was
knew
a
him.
very big deal. He was a very big deal. And it's one of those things where like sometimes overshadowed because Hogan was huge in the '80s, of course, but Under the Giant in the '70s, like he was a big star, huge star, huge
Yeah.
star. But it makes it interesting. I haven't done any research on it, guys. So if any of you know anything about it, let me know. I heard a little bit through some folks that were mentioning it to me briefly that our friends at Investicard are starting to look into the possibility of doing some collateral-based loans with cards. Not dissimilar to what PWCC does. So when they referenced it, I was like, well, that sounds like what PWCC does with the vault because there's
Yeah.
certain machinations you can do. It doesn't shock me if they get into that game. I don't know anything about it too much yet. I got to look into it myself, get some details, but I did hear that briefly and I got to check that out if that's the case because it will make me chuckle. Not shocking, not surprising, but also not new because obviously PWCC has been doing that for a little bit.
I think a lot of companies are shifting their business model a little bit, trying to add to it by adding different areas because it's not just growing like when they got in, everything's growing, everything's happy. And now it's like, okay, we're dropping back down. Okay, we got to look down other avenues. So let's go there and let's see what we can do here or here. Everyone's pitching ideas, I'm sure, at this point, because what are they going to do when the hobby is turned down a little bit? So,
Well, realistically, though, that's a smart thing to do because here's the thing: we can knock it, and I understand it because I'll use Card Collector 2 as an example. Good example.
yeah.
He started off with the social media thing, built a real physical shop in the day of no physical shops, so that's a bold move. But then, almost at the first opportunity, because he had the social media presence, very smart. He's a young guy, but he's he's thinking. He parlayed that into then doing grading through there. So there's an additional service and you do cards and stuff. Great. Very smart. Sell stuff online, sell stuff in the store. Does product online, does product in the store. Smart. But then the opportunity came across 1:37 p.m. Oh, would you like to do a podcast with us and some of Gary V's guys doing that? That's great exposure for me. That's even better. And that podcast is sponsored by eBay. Like he's got all these avenues and you can't accuse the kid of not working. He's working really hard at all these avenues to do. He even produced when they moved to the new location. They produced a 4-part, like almost mini series of super high quality video showing the process of getting the building, renovating it, coming up with all the things, all the obstacles they came into. You can watch it as almost like a Netflix show. They did a really good job producing it and making it look good, sound good. Well, the person that was responsible for a lot of that was Lou Janou, his partner in the podcast as well, who works for Gary Vee. They understand how the visual medium can be. So all of a sudden you got a card shop that basically created its own and it's free and it's on YouTube.
Yep.
You don't have to do a subscription model, but that's promotion. That's business.
Yep.
That's smart. I like it. I approve. So I don't have any issue with that, but he didn't stick to one avenue. If he just stuck to being just like any old card shop, he's just a card shop in Columbus. He's not doing half as well as he's doing right now.
Yeah, well, he's younger and taking advantage of the social media aspect of
Yes.
things, so it's perfect for him. And that's actually, I give him a lot of credit for opening his own shop. It took 6 months to do. He said it was going to be open in 6 weeks, and it's like 6 months later.
But that makes for good content, though. Drama and some difficulties makes some good content. That's smart. I like it.
Couple tears at the end always helps. Little waterworks never hurts.
It adds a little drama to the thing. And the thing is, in the current state, even as things are starting to wind down in the stateside with the pandemic, this is still on. You still have issues that are related to getting workers, having them do certain types of work. You still have to pay attention to all of that. It's not like you snap your fingers. Oh yeah, build the building, get the contractors get in, and everything's good. Sometimes you got to do some work. There's stuff to do.
He had a lot of employees there. It looked like. I don't know if that was just the beginning part, but
he's done very well. Now, like I said, he has in fact done extremely well, because like I said, he's built. The business in the store is only a part of the story.
Oh, understood.
He's selling a ton of product, and now he does little packs and stuff. Very smart. Like I said, they're thinking. They're not relying on one avenue. So if one thing dries up, you got all this other stuff going on as well. So it's like, no, that's how you run a business. I want to get to a couple of these comments here. There's a couple of good ones. So Paul here says, collateral for loans and slippery slopes, similar to 2008 mortgages. Yes, probably. If it's used irresponsibly, yes, correct.
Very
So here we
much.
go. So we got Andy, Sublime River Badges. Good evening, Andy. Thanks for popping in. Ryan is one of the best guys in the hobby. And I think, I could be mistaken, Andy, you were at the Beckett content creators thing as well. I could be mistaken. Or at the very least, you hung out with some of the card ladder folks as well. So I know I saw of pictures and things where Andy was involved with some of the content creators. But no, fair. Thank you for chiming in. Appreciate it. Down the road, I'll have to reach out to Andy as well. I'd love to get him on here to chat for a little bit, some cards. I enjoy his channel. So the people of sports card nonsense are saying the price of SGC cards are going up. Any thoughts on this? Probably. I think part of it is availability. They're getting free promotion in the sense that they're the only ones who can return cards. But I did make my point earlier. I can see the value rising simply because they're getting more stuff graded. So obviously it gets out in the market. People are like, beggars can't be choosers. We want something in a holder. Here it is in SGC. When their prices start getting comparable to PSA, it'll help a lot. My question was, and I posed the question, I don't have an answer yet. With Beckett shutting down a lot of the tiers, and it hasn't happened officially yet. I think it was June the 7th. So there's still a couple of days left. So we'll see. But when they do that, PSA's already done it. If enough business shifts to SGC, it's like, is this the problem you want to have? If enough other people shut down where everybody is basically forced to send all their stuff to you, if they send a bunch of crap to you, how quickly do you hit a wall? And then all of a sudden you have to raise your price, and all of a sudden you're not attractive anymore again. Which, by the way, is not a bad move in the sense that you can't just absorb limitless. You can't promote about not having a backlog and then suddenly have a backlog. You have to stop it at all costs. Whatever you must be done to avoid it, you must. So it's like, could I see SGC prices going up? I have to look at it. I'd be curious. I don't think it's across the board, but I'd love to see the examples they cite. I haven't checked it out. I'll definitely look into it more now that SGC probably is going to be the only game in town sending out a lot of the graded cards right now for a while. But we'll definitely see. We'll definitely see. And I have an SGC card coming in. So like I said, I'm not morally opposed to it, but I didn't pay a premium. I paid a very, very tiny premium over the base card price. Very tiny. If that starts changing and the premium starts getting bigger, then we're having a different conversation.
I wonder who works in the PR department at Beckett. It just seems like it's a.
Oh,
they've had a year and a half of nightmares. Someone's getting paid to do that on something. Sorry, I know where you want to go on this, but really, and SGC too. I'll give them a little bit of credit, but I'll take away a little bit too. Is that they had time to step up, and I think the video helped them a lot. But I still think they need to step it up a little bit more, just to compensate. PSA is PSA. They'll always be there. I don't know when they're. I think they're grading tickets now.
I believe, yeah. Sounds about right.
So tickets, well, they don't get as many tickets in as they do, obviously, cards. So I can see them opening up that, but that sort of backs up the other stuff. So why don't you just kind of wait and open up everything?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Well, I would have.
So
because now you can sell in tickets. Who wants to send in tickets? And I don't even know what's the price point of tickets. I have no idea.
I think it has its own unique price point. Not familiar with it.
But tickets are going for big money now. Graded ones, significant games, Gretzky's first, Patrick, Cole, whatever. All these tickets, guys are chasing down like crazy. It's really interesting.
I think it's cool. I think if it's a special event, like something cool that happened or something, like I could see that. But there's only so many tickets I would want. Like it's got to be very specific, very particular. And then there's always like a subgenre of tickets. And actually, I'll give you guys an example of an interesting. I'd be curious if this would play. I'll give you two examples of something that might work, but I'd be curious about it. But let me touch on this. So we'll come back to this. I think I found the Messier sales you're talking about, PMN. So we'll come back to it in a second. Let's see if that's true. And I know Andy replied back. No, appreciate the kind words. No worries. Not at the Beckett gathering. Was at the show with some friends that went. No, that sounds good. Appreciate it. Glad that you were able to check it out and enjoy. So I did see that that there was some representation there, so that's cool. I like it. So I'm assuming, and you'll have to let me know, PMN, if this is the one you're referring to. So I see one here, Opeachy, Mark Messier, PSA 10, for $24,500.
20,000 was the last sale, was it not?
Sounds about right. So you'll have to let me know, PMN, is this the one you're referring to? This is a best offer accepted, $24,500. Not sure. If that's what you're referring to, then I hadn't heard about it, but that seems like 80 tops. I'm just trying to think. I feel like 80 tops is one that you got to get registration right. How do you find the centering on 80 tops, Bobby?
I think it's better than O-Pee-Chee. They don't
No,
have
sorry. This is 1980 OPG.
Yeah, I understand because there's no tops in Messier, anyways.
Yeah.
So
So how do you find the centering though? Like for this year and for this year in general, is it?
it's pretty bad.
Yeah. So I would
There's a
think
lot
if
of wide board. It's the frame of the picture and the border is very small, especially obviously in
Mhm.
that the first 5 cards, which I mentioned before. But also the rest of the cards have a very small border, comparatively speaking, to the next years or previous years. So it's tighter. So things look off center very easily, and
Yeah.
there's tilting on the cards too. Again,
Yeah, that I can imagine. Basically, what I look at, and I'll tell you. So, thank you for confirming, PMN. Appreciate that. What I look for in a lot of those sets and years is I'm trying to figure out if there's extra condition sensitivity. Like on the front, you've got white borders. I could see centering being an issue, but on the back, you've got kind of this yellowish green. And I'm just trying to think if it would be particularly prone to chipping. Probably, to be honest.
it's not too bad.
As far for the back.
Yeah.
Okay. So anything like late
But it's
70s, early
OPG
80s.
cuts that are allowed anyway. So
Sure. Yeah.
in tops, it might make a little bit different because the backs aren't as yellow.
Yeah, I guess so. I
It
I
is a
think
weird color, but it does pop well.
yeah, I'm not offended by it. If that would probably be maybe the way that I would put it is that doesn't seem super out of whack to me. It seems reasonable. So here I got to zoom
The
in
price?
on the card a little bit. That was a 24,500 US.
You said seemed reasonable for the price.
No, I'm saying it seems reasonable given the price of a lot of other things that have gone. Like it's not like it went for 200,000. It's not some ridiculous number that's out of whack with anything in hockey. Like Messier is right up there at the top of scoring all time. Won a ton of Stanley Cups. Super popular in New York, and obviously had his run in Edmonton that was great. Had the extra cup in Edmonton that Gretzky wasn't there for. It seems to
New
me
York
like
Rangers, yeah.
yeah, it seems to me like there should be enough popularity for Messier. You don't think of Messier first, but then once you really think about it, if you're a hockey guy and you really think about it, Messier was really great for a long time.
The funny part, before this explosion, Messier was an afterthought.
Yeah, I believe that. Which
Very
is kind of a
much
shame,
so.
though. I think
Gretzky wasn't, and Bork wasn't. Obviously, Bork's different, but I mean,
yeah, I think Messier was a little underappreciated because I do think his body of work deserved
Sure.
a little more consideration,
I believe that.
and I think that's fair.
It
Because
is
he was
fair.
second all time in scoring, I think, for a little bit there before Yager took it over. So like,
Yeah.
that's real good.
What is the pop report on this?
It's got to be low. I'll see if I can figure it out. Bear with me a minute. So just PMN says, did Messier ever outperform Gretzky with the Oilers? Well, no. When the Oilers, Gretzky was putting up video game numbers. I think I don't think anybody. If you're talking about scoring, I don't think anybody was outperforming. Was outperforming Gretzky in terms of scoring on the Oilers. Just trying to see if I can verify it here. I've got the app, so I'll put in the certificate number. So anyway, so guys, what I'll say to you is that we're open as far as topics. I got a chance. I covered the stuff that I really wanted to touch on with the Ruth. That was my main thing. It's a pop 40, which is actually a fair bet for a PSA 10.
I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah,
Pop
it's not too bad.
40 with
Yeah.
30% resubmittals. Actually, somebody else mentioned that too. I think it was Chris Sewell. He mentioned about that in a video the other day. He was talking about the resubmittal rate being very high on highly graded cards. In the 8s and 9s. He says, obviously it doesn't happen in the lower grades, the higher grades, and I agree with him. I don't think he said any percentage, but he said there is quite a bit, and that's always to be taken into account too. Well, I guess it should be in your head, but not really, understand exactly what's out there.
Yeah, but I don't think 40 is such a ridiculously high number that it's like no, you'd still be within the realm of a reasonable amount of cards out. If it was like in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, then that number would seem high. But 40 isn't so bad.
No, I just meant with the crack out resubmittals. I think you can probably get that number down to 30.
Could be. So Messier here was one of the largest hockey personalities right up to the time of his retirement. I think that's fair. Plus, his Lay's potato chips commercials were
Bet you just can't eat one, right?
That's right. Yeah, Messier definitely outperformed Gretzky in fisticuffs. there were newborn children how it performed Gretzky in fisticuffs. For Gretzky, physicality was not part of Gretzky's game.
No.
Finesse, scoring, skill, that was Gretzky's game. Physicality, he has people for that.
Yeah, but he avoided it too.
But that's what I mean. Like, he has people for that. He outsourced the physicality to other members of his team.
He outskated. He didn't go in corners stupidly. He wasn't the Darcy Tucker flying around
He
in
was
the
a
corners.
smart player. He was a smart player. I
was.
tease, but he was a very smart player. He was very.
I call him the great anticipator. He used to overly anticipate what somebody was doing or force somebody to do something that they didn't want to do. And then he was on it like, well, just so fast.
Which is, by the way, is not a bad thing. That's good. It's like,
that's what gave him all his records. So
yeah, exactly. So it's like there's an element to that. So let's take a look here. No, I don't think Bobby was. I won't speak for you, Bobby, but I don't think you were implying he was insignificant. I think you're implying that he was underrated compared to some of those other guys because Bork was the card was outperforming the Messier for a while, and I remember that being the case for quite a while. But like I said, Messier's body of work warranted more because, like I said, the Bork winning the cup with Colorado was a huge story because finally he won a cup after all those years, and what happened is Messier won the cups with Gretzky in Edmonton, but then won another cup in 1990 where he was the captain in Edmonton, and then went to New York and won another cup again.
Yeah.
So I think it was 6 in total, if I'm not mistaken.
More than likely. Yeah,
which is extremely impressive. That's tremendous. But it's like, so you won 6 championships and you helped lead your team and you have the guarantee thing with New York. And so you've got all this going for you. You were retired as second all time in scoring and you did the majority of your career without Gretzky there. That's pretty good. That seems good. And in your own right, you were a great scorer and you were able to be a playmaker and you had the physicality. So he had a lot going on.
Yeah, Jeff, I was referring to when the hobby started going crazy, Messier wasn't even really thought of as a big money card, where Bork was really surpassing and breaking records. And it took him a while to catch up to that. And like I said, it was almost an afterthought. And then all of a sudden he took ground. And then he got up to 20,000 for the PSA 10. Remember, it jumped in January, February, and a little bit of March. That jump was so significant. And that's what brought the Messier really high. Otherwise, he was well behind Bork. Mm-hmm. Not that I would take any one of the two over either one of them. I don't have any personal feelings on that. I'm just saying that's just the cards of what I was watching. And I was really hard watching those because I own quite a few of those.
Yeah. And I think at the time, if you had been opportunistic, probably if you anticipated well, you probably could have gotten a couple of Messiers for a really pretty price. And then probably be sitting there. You'd be chuckling right now.
Well, when his card kicked up, the Raws were going insane. I was just going, who's paying that for a raw chance at? Wow. And that's when I really noticed that. And that was in January, February. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'll quickly get caught up here in the comments here. Hockey says Messi is considered nobody in the U.S. Yeah, but in fairness, a lot of hockey players are considered nobodies in the U.S. If we're being fair. They have Steve Austin mispronouncing his name in the Tide commercial. I didn't catch that one, but fair enough.
Which Steve Austin?
I think this one's Stone Cold. I'm pretty sure this was not the $6 million man. Yeah. So
there's the beer. There you go.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and I think he's trying to say Madonna. I think he's trying to pick it, but he wrote Madonna. So it's like so Messi. Wow. It's like Messi landed the material girl. That bastard. No wonder he was underappreciated. I assume he meant Madonna, but he wrote Madonna. I see Madonna. Madonna's somebody else.
But it'd be weird with Madonna there, right? No.
Well, I think what he was trying to refer to is that he laid, but he actually laid in a famous hit that basically knocked Madonna out. So it was a big one, but apparently it was Madonna instead. So
it was all the talk about the lay of the land and where you took her. So, anyways,
terrible, just terrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah. So Bork seemed to get posterized a lot in the playoffs. Yeah, but he played for the Bruins, and this is before the Bruins actually started contending regularly. It was like where they tried because I think they had. I could be mistaken. Wasn't it? I want to say 1990. Wasn't the last Edmonton Stanley Cup against the Bruins? It had to be close. I might be wrong on the specific year, but I think like in the early 90s they had one Stanley Cup run with Bork there, where they got to the finals and I think they lost. You guys have to fact check me on this one, but I thought there was one in the early 90s where the Bruins got to the finals. I could be mistaken, but I thought that was the case. Yeah, Messier helped the New York Rangers at the 54-year Stanley Cup drought. That is correct, and which has now been usurped by the Maple Leafs' upcoming 55-year Stanley Cup drought.
Yeah.
Messier dated Madonna. Oh, really? I don't remember.
Okay, that all makes sense now.
Okay, well, turns out it was Madonna.
He didn't date Madano.
I was assuming he was taking a pot shot at the hit. He hit Madano because that was a famous hit.
I got it.
Yeah.
So we think differently. That's fine.
Yeah, clearly. But okay, so there you go. So in fact, both are correct for different reasons.
Yes, one is a little more perverse than the other. So
yeah,
well, actually,
I genuinely don't remember the Messier Madonna thing though, because that would have been in the early '90s or '94 or '93 or something like that. I don't remember that. Okay,
be after Material Girl. So
yeah,
because she got into acting and did that movie. So was it right around that time? Let's say late '80s. So then.
Interesting. So here I've got the details. So Oilers beat the Bruins in 88 and 90. Sanderson Norris confirms it's 88-90. Edmonton Biza. Thanks for reminding me. Anytime. Boston people have nothing to complain about. You won a cup later, so don't complain. So yeah, the issue for a short time with Messier was straight to New York. Okay, cool. Did not know that. Didn't remember that one. So the Bruins will get the semifinals. Lemieux posterized Bork in a couple of conference finals. Fair. Mind you, in that era, Lemieux was posterizing a lot of people. They played for years. The Hockey Night in Canada thing included where Messier skated by everybody in the North Stars and beat John Casey. Like that was on there all the time in the package for Hockey Night in Canada because it was such a memorable, like, you know, basically skating through the team and scoring the goal in the Stanley Cup. So Messier was a detestable person during his Canucks run. Yeah, a lot of people don't have fond memories of his Canucks run there late in his career.
I sure wasn't watching it.
That's fair.
Oh boy, here we go.
I really don't think so. It was Willa Ford. So he married Willa Ford. So he got his own pop star later, Willa Ford, and then remarried somebody else, and then that's the
Willa Ford. What did she sing?
Willa Ford. She was basically a pop star who I think had one hit.
Oh, okay, I thought you might have meant Lena Ford, but
no, Willa. Her stage name, I guess, was Willa Ford. I don't know if that was a real name, but it was her stage name.
It's a stage name for sure. Willa Ford. Could Madano Willa Ford her?
Well, apparently not at the end.
So it seems
it's important, not so much. Yeah, because she was the one who was with him when he initially retired, and then the second wife was with him when his number was retired and all that.
And his third?
Well, so far there's been two.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So as far as I know, that's
I don't follow Madano, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just know because it's those were the two ceremonies where they had somebody there. So that was it. If he gets another ceremony, then we'll know for sure. Messi has a reputation for being a jerk. Yeah, probably. Probably sounds about right.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you know. Hey, listen, he played with an edge. What are you going to do?
He had to. Played in a tough time.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm not going to spoil this for myself. I'm recording I've got the PVR recording the AEW because they're doing it on Fridays the next couple of weeks. So I've got it on there, and I was just scanning Instagram. I was like, oh, interesting. All right, so there's the debut. I'll keep it. I'll check that later.
All right, have some fun.
Oh, I will. So let's see. I offered Dave the opportunity to talk about Double or Nothing, but he didn't watch it. So we were having a little chat in the text thread about it, having some fun with it. So anyway.
Oh, I've been watching some of that wrestling, The Dark Side.
Oh yes, which one?
Very good. Let's see. Watch the Ultimate Warrior.
Okay.
That was really kind of weird and interesting.
It was, but it was a bit short. Like the Dark Side Warrior one could have been really interesting if they had really expanded. And I was like, you guys probably needed more time.
Yeah.
You need a little more time if you wanted to do it.
It's like they did want to say something in there, so there was a little bit left out, which I believe has been filled in since that time. So
there you go. Pop culture maven, Amish Dave Archer filling in. I Want to Be Bad was Willa's big hit. That's right. That is right.
I Want to Be Bad.
Yeah, that was the name of the song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. AEW is great tonight. Good to know. Good to know. I'm glad I set it to record. So they're usually on Wednesdays. So now the last couple of weeks they've been doing Fridays. So I was like, oh shoot, I need to reset the guide. Because the guide isn't smart enough to find it. So I'm like, okay, let me find the channel myself and go hit the button myself.
Well, I have an update. I'm in the 70s.
You are in the 70s, in the book.
In the book.
Sounds good.
We're just started to turn the 70s. So that took, where was I? 65, 68 last time? I can't remember. But interesting. I found some new information. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Just amazing. So I have to keep resending him updated information because every time I do 4 or 5 different issues,
Mm-hmm.
it's like something pops up and go, oh shoot, there's some new information. I just sent him that the other day. So then I got to send him so the stuff he's going through to load it in just must be driving him crazy, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, you already mentioned though the 70s had so much stuff for a little while there that the opportunity was there. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of volume, and the possibility for changes is huge because there's a lot of stuff there they can modify, and they tried a lot of stuff. We know that.
Yeah, that'll keep me busy
for sure. So I'll quickly get caught up here in the comments. So as Sport Card Investor mentioned that he feels a drop in value in the hobby. Is Gary Vee concentrating on NFTs? If you need one person to make a hobby thrive, then it's a joke. Yeah, I think that's I think that's giving. Gary Vee had an influence, and I got this question a little while ago, and I'll just state, and we can expand upon it more later. I believe that Gary Vee can still have these tiny little micro impacts. Like if he specifically keyed in on a card or something, it might get a tiny little bump, but it's short, like super short lived, like a day or two at most. That impact lessens with time. At this stage, it's like he could literally sit there and put a card dead center in front of his Twitter feed and maybe it would do something. Like people give Gary Vee either too much credit or too much blame. I think he's just a dude who decides when he wants to pay attention to it and let him live his life. Like, it's like, who cares? Let the man just do what he wants.
Yeah, I would say every podcaster back a few months ago had Gary Vee on their tongue at least once or twice during the show, whereas now he's hardly mentioned at all. I think with Vegas Dave, and someone just said something the other day on one of the podcasts. They said, maybe Vegas Dave is going to be right. I said, well, we'll see.
Yeah. I would hesitate to give Vegas Dave credit for anything, but a broken clock is right twice a day, as we well know. So the other thing I would say though is that, and this is important because a lot of people look, Gary Vee is literally just a scapegoat for anything you want to complain about. He's just a dude who does stuff that he wants. Like he's literally just screwing around with you. He is to Sports Card what Elon Musk is to Dogecoin. He is just doing this for fun. He's messing around. And if you want to jump every time he does something, and I'm not saying the people in the chat do, but I'm saying if people want to jump, let them. Like, just let the guy live his life. Let them live their lives. Like, guys, it's not that serious. It's sports cards. It's not that serious. I promise it's not. I'll quickly get caught up here. So if anybody's interested, Beckett more than doubled Messier's raw book value. Okay, that's cool. They're always a little bit behind on that, but good to know. Good to know they make an adjustment. So Beckett's statement about turning off submissions seemed weird to me. The way they explain themselves seem to be patting themselves in the back. Yes. Yeah, the first section of their little explanation, I covered that in the video for it, but the first section of it is basically just taking pot shots at SGC, which I enjoyed. I like a little pettiness, as you well know. I like a little pettiness. It's kind of ill-advised, though. I give SGC flack for being immature, and then Beckett goes and like, okay, guys, whatever. So the Dark Side of the Ring Warrior episode was pointless with the A&E documentary. I agree with that, but here's some
spots, but
I hated the A&E documentary because I knew it was going to be a fluff piece. The A&E documentary is junk. Yeah. And then the other one missed the opportunity to fill in real gaps, like actually go in and do a proper job of it. Because here's the thing, the Warrior wasn't a nice guy. To his family, I'm sure he was very nice. But the problem is the A&E documentary focused on his wife and his kids. And I go, here's the thing. They weren't around for the majority of his career. Who cares what they have to say? Not to be mean about this, but who cares what they think? I'm sure they have nice things to say about him. I would hope so. Plenty of people have very bad things to say about the guy. Plenty of people.
Oh, yeah.
Throughout the rest of his life. So hopefully nobody's buying Grizzly Smith cards after the last episode. I haven't had the chance to see it. Grizzly Smith, I believe, is Jake the Snake's dad, who was not a nice man. Also not a nice man. So, Bobby, how come you don't show much of an interest in sports outside hockey?
Because I don't know. I used to play all the sports, and I used to really enjoy it. When I got out of school, I didn't really follow sports much. I just watched the Leafs and go to the odd J game, and that was basically it. Football, I watched in the 70s. See, we would watch what was on TV at that time, and we didn't have too many channels back
in the 70s. The Argos were huge. There was a stretch there where the Argos were big in the 70s.
We did watch the Argos. We watched whatever games, but we didn't have like 1,000 channels. We had like 10 or 20 at that time. So you didn't get as much out there. So I didn't get the benefit of the social media as you guys have and followed it. And I've never been a person to follow the record. I've been doing my own thing, and I was working hard, and I bought a condo and I raised a family. So I didn't have that time to sit down and put that much time into sports. So I've really never followed it too much beyond a hockey. And but I do enjoy the sports. I just don't collect them, and I don't. I try to document a few of them. It's just we're all different in different ways.
That's fair. You got to do whatever your preference is.
Yeah.
So Paul's trying to get over fanny pack flex. We'll
like
come
that.
back to that. Hashtag fanny pack flex. So there you go. Cover that. Dark Side of the Ring is a great Canadian TV show ever. Even better than Littlest Hobo. That's high praise. Littlest Hobo is very popular in some circles. I wanted to include your comment, but that's controversial.
Yes.
This show does not shy from controversy, but that is a controversial statement, sir. I don't care about Littlest Hobo, but I know a lot of people that loved that show. Loved. So, Bobby, what year do you cover up to in your books?
1910 to 1990. 1990 is the explosion of the hobby. I guess you could almost use it in today's world. It's just how many rookie cards are there every year now? And that's basically the 90s. It's just massive production issues. Everything was being issued at that time. And I kind of stopped there. And the values drop a lot too. So there's not a lot of following on a lot of the 90s stuff. There is people who do follow it, and it is their era. I get it. I just try to cover as many decades as I feel I'm capable to do a good job at. And if I get into the 90s, I don't have the time. I just don't have enough time in my life to do the 90s, because that would take 10 years, and no one's going to pay me for it. So you want to do it?
I can tell you from experience, the 90s would be miserable.
It is.
Like it would, no, but I'm saying like,
Monotonous.
it's not even that. It's not even that. I don't care if you love every single aspect of it, and I enjoy most of what's there. It would be miserable because there were more products and more variants and more random things, and it grows exponentially as you go. The so here, where I've got these things, these are the Z folios here. The first one covers the first 5 years of Medano's career. One Z folio, one. And then the next one is 95, 96 to 96, 97, 2 years in one Z folio. Then after that, it's one per year.
Yeah.
That's before I get out of the 90s. 5 years was covered in one at the beginning of the 90s. By the time we get to the later part of the 90s, it's one per year. And that's just one player. And now imagine a Gretzky is included in almost every set. Imagine a Waugh that's included in all the goalie sets. Like it's impossible.
Food issue, cereal box.
Impossible. Forget it. No. Medano was popular enough that he's in most issues, but there's a lot. There's a lot. It exploded as you went year by year. That's why I'm using that example, because it shows you the difference. The first 5 years can be covered in one single C-folio.
Yeah.
Then it explodes as you go along further and further. And right now I've got it up until 2002, 2003 here. So, but now it's one per year, all the way through the rest of his playing career. So it gets worse as you go along. So good evening, 90s hockey collector. So I'm about 5 minutes behind on these, 7 minutes actually. So I'm trying to move a little bit here. So Gary V is a douche. There you go. More love for Gary V. Gary V is the leader of Lemmings. Lemmings, yes, but he's not actually leading them. Like, I'm serious. He's just screwing with people. Like, he doesn't care. He's not worried about it. He's just having fun. They'll invest in plastic bags if you told them to. Could you?
True enough.
That'd be great. Please, could you? That'd be fun. I approve. I want hashtag plastic bag Gary V. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
I'm a fan. Broken clock is right twice a day, 730 times a year. Correct. People shouldn't be relying on Gary for the card collecting to be validated. True statement. True statement. Good evening, Victor. Hope things are going well for you. I think the crowd who validated by Gary V would be paying 24% annualized interest rate over Lucas Silver or Pokemon. I like it. I'm good with it. 90s hockey sucked. Dead puck era, so the cards would be a snooze fest. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of the cards are good. The problem is like the list is too big. Like it really is the list. And Dave here validates what you're saying. Yeah. So nobody collects the 90s. Only hashtag CryptoRiff can show us the way. After the 1980s, collecting fades like a flower. True. True. Left wing lock. Correct. Yep. No worries, Ty. So good evening as well. Yeah, there are no hockey cards after 1990. Correct. Yeah. For the kind of book Bobby's doing and the kind of extensive research he's doing, you're better off with the cutoff. I wanted to give context though to the explosion in number of products and things. And the amount of nuances don't go away because there's still stuff. But the problem is then you get into the food issues, like you said, but also international issues. You want to cover the Semic, international sets of like the
No.
Finnish sets and stuff like that. Like it's a pain.
No,
It's a
I
pain.
will touch on those eventually. I have a
Sure.
friend who's kind of doing a little bit of that,
But it's a
which
pain.
is good.
But it's a pain. It really is a pain.
It is because we don't have official documentation, and that's the
Correct.
biggest part. And I
Yes.
can't do research in newspapers over there, or so it's just taking somebody's word for a lot of different things. Um, what I did up to from 1910 to 1990 for the last 20 years, and I still don't know everything. 90s would just wipe me out.
Yeah. And the thing is, take it from somebody who has researched the checklist of just one player. But I researched that checklist to make sure that I don't want stuff on the checklist that isn't real.
Sure.
So the reason I say I'm researching it is because I want to be able to exclude stuff that isn't real, because then I'm chasing after ghosts that don't exist. So it's like, no, I don't want to do that. I would like to chase after real stuff. So it becomes imperative for me. And even in that narrow scope, it's still a lot of work. Now expand it out to the full issues, and like I gave examples. I gave sets where there's full checklists. They don't exist. There's certain cards that exist, but not the full checklist. And it's like, no.
So you'd have to know 10,000 kind of Carloses, who would know their specific star, and contact those people, because those really are the experts. A lot of guys who collect Tony Esposito, they'll tell me stuff that I didn't even know, and I'll tell them stuff that they didn't know that Tony was into. So you're always sharing through the course of the hobby, and it's good to have that. But
it would be misery. You basically would have to consult with those tight specialists who have that extensive knowledge of that one specific area.
Beehives, like my beehive guys. I know everything kind of, about the beehives, but I don't know the cards like they know the cards, or some of the other things. So those guys are specialized. They're right in there. There's only beehives, and that's basically it. Beehives are such a big, it's 1,008 different beehives issued, plus all the premiums and the offerings. It's, something that you'd have to delve into head first. And I'm glad I didn't have to do that.
No, that's good. So Hockey here says their favorite set of all time is 90-91 Upper Deck. It got produced in abundance, but I like the set. I thought it was, especially for an inaugural issue, I thought they did a good job. It's a nice, clean looking set. I will say though, I wish they had produced it less, because then it'd be rarer. It'd be more legit, because it's a nice set, and it's got a great rookie crop. So it's like it'd be amazing if they had restrained themselves a little bit with the printing press.
I think you said it right there. I think that the desire would be more there if they printed less, because
it's just a nice set. Like, it actually aesthetically, it's a good look.
It takes away from it that they overprinted, and it's just like, they're dime a dozen. Throw them against the wall. Nobody cares.
A lot of those early 90s, though, did it. Like I said, I've tried to give credit where it's due. The 90-91 Upper Deck set, it's a nice, clean-looking set. Good looking, and a lot of the cards on it are very nice. I even took that.
Good.
Even as much as I enjoy mocking Pro Set, and I do, I said if they had restrained themselves with Pro Set Platinum, I thought it was a good-looking set. I like the full bleed photos, and if they had held back and said, "Hey, we're calling this Platinum. Let's keep the print run down," those cards would have some value today. They would, because they're like, oh, this is actually really, they stand out from this crop of early 90s stuff. It looks pretty good. Looks nice. Not a lot of people were trying full bleed photos. That's kind of cool. That's different. So here, come on, Bobby, learn Finnish to spell the word.
Actually, I had a girlfriend about 25 years ago who was Finnish, and that's a weird language. That's a tough language to learn.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, because they got a bunch of accents too involved in the letters and stuff.
Yeah, and the words don't flow. They don't come out of your mouth and flow like French does, or English, or it's just very jointed, and everything's in a box. It's kind of a weird, I can't even explain it.
Yep. So trust me, when you get finished cards, and I've got a couple, it doesn't get easier. So what about writing a book on McDonald's? I love the old McDonald's Tim Hortons cards. At least that's a limited scope, but I don't know if that'd be in your interest or wheelhouse.
Old McDonald's had the Tim Hortons cards. Well, why would I?
Those are recent. They're food issues, and they're recent, but there's not a lot to them. It's just a checklist. It's just a checklist. I don't think they even produced any. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. Did they produce any memorabilia for it?
Yeah.
For the Tim Hortons?
The hamburger hockey.
No, but I mean Tim Hortons. I'm talking about Tim Hortons.
The mini sticks and all those other things. Those.
No, but I mean for the cards though. Like McDonald's had redemptions for patches and jersey cards and stuff.
No.
Did Tim Hortons? Maybe they had
No, I don't
autographs.
think so.
Maybe.
Well, they had the redemptions, yeah.
Yeah,
Tim Hortons has the redemptions.
Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, but I just didn't remember seeing a lot of it. I assume they would. I just don't remember. Yeah, you got inserts and stuff for sure, but I just don't remember if you had like redemptions for memorabilia or autographs or something like that. Something other than base or inserts.
Yeah, and that's for. There's a lot of other people out there who know their stuff when it comes to McDonald's, and why wouldn't they spend the time in their life to do it?
Yeah. Okay. So
that's the ultimate question, right?
Yeah. So a couple of comments here. I'll get caught up on these. So Fresh Bread says, "Aren't they still printed 1991 O Picture Premiere?" Allegedly. Sanderson Dora said, "Did you say crop or crap in regards to post set?" Yes.
Both.
So Josh says platinum print run is probably lower than pro set. Yeah, probably. But the problem is not by enough. Not by enough. If they had really kept it down, that probably would have worked better. So Josh here says, and good evening, Josh. And Josh says, yes, jersey cards and Tim Hortons all redemptions. Okay, cool. I don't remember seeing any, but okay, I believe you. Redemptions make sense.
Right,
McDonald's had pretty nice redemptions of Gretzky. Yeah, they had some nice redemptions in general. I thought they did a good job with them. And also autograph redemptions. Okay.
Store displays. They had the mini mask. They did a lot of different things.
Okay, that's cool.
McDonald's was kind of neat.
Yeah, I just never got into the Tim Hortons one. To me, the McDonald's one was the food issue. Like, if McDonald's was still making the hockey cards, I don't need them, but I'd go and buy a couple of packs of it, just for the nostalgia of opening up the packs. Tim Hortons doesn't work for me the same way. It just doesn't.
I guess
it does not.
Not many kids drink coffee.
Should McDonald's bring back pizza? I don't know. You want to touch on that one?
Yeah, my brother-in-law said I really miss the pizzas years ago that they used to make, and I kind of remember them.
Okay.
They had a McRib too, which I thought was good. Actually, I don't even eat at McDonald's. I'll have a fillet of fish. That's about it. Nothing else tastes good. Nothing's fresh anymore. They put it in that drawer that's 142 degrees, and that burger stays there, or whatever stays there. Even the fillet of fish.
That's not a burger.
It isn't.
I refuse to call that a burger. The only thing I'll eat at McDonald's is I'll get the 10-piece chicken McNugget combo with the fries. That's it.
Oh, the mechanically deboned chicken. Yeah,
I accept this. I am okay with it.
I'm not. No.
We're good.
The fillet of fish is one good thing that I do like there.
Carlos Sr. likes a fillet of fish. He's a fan.
So I go to McDonald's once every 3 months.
No, that's fair. I keep it as a once in a blue moon thing.
I guess I'm guilty. I do like the breakfast, the hotcakes and sausage.
Those are good.
I'll give them the breakfast.
Do they still have those?
Yeah. Oh yeah, hotcakes and sausage and
sweet. Okay, cool.
Big breakfast, which is it's not even big. I don't know.
I just didn't remember if they still had the pancakes or not. I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
but they were really good. They were really good back in the day. I do appreciate their breakfast sandwich is okay with me. I get the sausage belt, like the belt with the bagel and everything. I'm okay with that. I like breakfast, so that part is okay with me.
Oh, so I'm not a breakfast person normally.
Then that's fair. So Paul says McDonald's pizza classic. Fresh Bread likes the fillet of fish. There you go. Awesome. And then Dave's just mentioning here earlier Pacific McDonald's patch cards still fetch pretty penny. They do. Yep. They were tough and they were redemptions. So you didn't know how many actually got out there. So that was always part of the thing. McDonald's fries, when they serve fresh, are like crack. They are.
I don't like them. It's all fry. It's no potato. And I guess that's the difference.
What do you want the fry to be made out of, Bobby? You're saying, I want, just to reiterate, your words were, it's all potato. It's like, what else do you put in your fry?
It's all fry and no potato. There's very little potato in there.
Okay.
Like how small can we cut something down so that we can deep fry it?
Okay.
I like a little bit bigger fry.
Well, it was funny because
and a fresh cut one too.
It was funny because when I go to the supermarket, they have those packages of fries.
Don't say frozen. No. Yeah.
Yeah. So they go in and they have the ones, and in one of the ones they have is where they'll do the restaurant cut, and the restaurant cut is basically the McDonald's cut, the super thin cut ones. So then for dinner today, I was actually put in the oven. I put in the restaurant cut, the thin ones, McDonald's style.
Why don't they ever taste even close to the McDonald's?
I'll be honest. Yeah, well, McDonald's because McDonald's put sugar on them. I believe it's sugar, something like that.
I heard they fried them in a little bit of in the oil is beef oil or something.
I guess. But I was pretty sure that the
they got in trouble for that.
I was pretty sure the secret ingredient was I think they put sugar on the fries.
Sugar.
I believe so. Yeah. if memory serves me, something like that.
So that's not salt when they go like that. That's a little mixture of salt.
Oh
and
no, they
sugar.
put salt in it, but there's sugar in there too.
Oh yeah,
It's meant to be more addictive. It's got to be. You got to put something addictive in there, an additive, something else to give it a little extra. But I will say the ones that they have though, even though it doesn't have the sugar, still pretty good. I like them. Works for me.
Yeah, where you don't taste potato with McDonald's fries, you taste fry.
Enjoy your fry.
It's like having a bucket of KFC skins,
There you go.
comparatively speaking.
So you're saying that now I kind of wish if they it's a little late. I kind of wish now I could order something.
Hungry, I know.
No, I'm not hungry for it. I just kind of would want to order and then just eat it while you continued waxing poetic on the fries.
Where's my dasher with the McDonald's?
It's like, damn it! This is where I need it now. So here, Carlos, any thoughts on former sports journalist and Sportsnet commentator Marty York trashing the Blue Jays hard every night on Twitter? I hadn't heard about that. I'm sure someone does, but I'm curious. Give me some context, Hockey. I'm curious. I hadn't heard about that. I don't doubt it, but I was curious about it. So Paul says, hot takes from Bobby tonight. Isn't learning Finnish, and he is a fry snob. Bobby is a food snob in general. He's very particular about his foods. So you don't buy Happy Face fries? Exactly. I do not. Yeah, I take the restaurant cut, a.k.a. McDonald's cut.
I just like the finer things in life. As you get a little older and you have to eat better, you tend to enjoy things that are a little bit more freshly made.
There you go.
Or you mentally change your mind that you do. I was never really a McDonald's French fry person. So, like a chip truck, those fries, those are fries.
Okay.
That's just me.
Yeah. So the thing is, for me, the Jays is I'll watch it because I'm just enjoying it for what it is. See a couple of young guys playing. The thing is, I didn't think they were going to be that good. They have deficiencies. All I want is I want to see Bo Bichette play well, and I want to see Vladdy Jr. improve. Those are the two things I want to see. If you can keep going from there, that's great. I would like to see that. But that's about it. That's all I got. I have no illusions to them being contenders for quite some time until they improve that roster generally. So McDonald's breakfast burritos are sought in a crunch. Haven't had them, but I'll take your word for it. Dave
is that with the egg in it?
Here's the thing, though. We got to remember, in fairness, Dave, and by the way, at some point you should just come in and defend your own take. But the thing is, you just enjoy it. You literally have your own, mini hashtag the fattening. It's like, what's the fattiest thing I can eat? And that's what you want. Does it really matter what it tastes like? Does it make any difference? What if we give you fried grease with a side of grease with some sugar on top? Is that good? I'm sure it is.
See, it's interesting because Carlos eats for necessity. Bobby eats for taste.
Yeah.
And other people eat for just flavor of, what's my next treat?
Well, Dave has to make weight.
Not my next meal.
Dave has to make weight for the fight or something.
Skin chips, that would be all right. See,
KFC ones.
Yeah, but they changed. They changed their oil. And it's never been the same.
They've changed.
Well, they used to. You can't use saturated oil. It's like, really? Well, that's the whole point behind it. You're having fried chicken. Mm-hmm. What are you going to tell your mom? Don't fry chicken in the saturated fat. Come on. That's why.
Well, I have it, but I've been too lazy to take it out. I want to try the air fryer I have. I have an air fryer, so I would love to try.
Wings.
I've been doing a lot of the stuff in the oven, but I would love to try it out on the air fryer and just give it a go and see because
everybody swears by it. Like chicken wings or something. I have
Sure.
chicken wings every 3 months, so
sure.
There's a few pleasures that you're allowed to have.
Okay, sounds fair. So here we go. Did anyone collect the Donruss baseball cards in '92? I did a little bit. I compared to '91. '91 I had tons of, and they were really junky. '92 though at least felt like a step up in quality for the cards. Still overproduced, but they were pretty good. Yeah, McDonald's Donruss baseball cards. Yeah, I had those as well. So both the regular set and the McDonald's one. So yeah, yes and yes. So I believe Aldi's has a generic frozen restaurant fry that went in the air fryer doused with salt is comparable to McDonald's fries. Hashtag not allegedly. Okay, fair enough. Aldi's, I guess, is a local thing for them. So Hockey clarifies here. Marty York trashes the Raptors and Blue Jays because he hates how the Homer media makes these teams look better than they are. Entertaining follow night after night. What are they going to say? Here's the I understand the concept, but what do they expect the the home of the Blue Jays? This team blows. This team sucks. They're trash. Don't watch them. Wait a minute. I'm employed by this network that airs their games. Wait, watch them. They're great. They're awesome. What are you talking about? Shut up. That's not a new thing. Settle down. I get the idea, but it's not a new thing. And that's not for you, Hockey. I'm just saying, like, for the Marty Yorks of the world, it's like, dude, really? Homer Media is supposed to be. And by the way, if you want to see Homer Media, now he's retired now, I think. If you want it, and I have the baseball package. I love watching Chicago White Sox games because until he retired, they had Hawk Harrelson, who literally was like, anytime the White Sox did anything, he was like, yes! He was like the most excited person in the world. That's a homer. The ones here are excited when the Jays do something good. It's like, well, they have to be. You got to sell the product. This is the product. Good, bad, or indifferent. You got to sell it. Sell it. McDonald's, yeah, so that one. Sorry, I covered that one. Tommy likes wingies. Okay. A retirement package of McDonald's Donruss cards. Exactly. Nice. All right. Got it all caught up. Beautiful. What I was going to say was, actually, I missed this one. Paul said breakfast burrito in Grand Prairie, Alberta. Okay. Very specific. Very specific. Cool.
Wapiti? Is it Wapiti?
In Wapiti. There's a WA first.
I said Wapiti.
Yeah. So I will say, one of the things that I was thinking about, kind of as I was reading a couple of these comments, is that when I was watching a lot of those Jays teams, especially around the time that I want to say the late '90s and early 2000s, they had a struggle then too, because those teams were like, they were okay. Yeah, go for it. They were okay. They were fine. But it's like, imagine trying to sell it. It's like, they're not going anywhere. And I was and I explained this concept to one of my buddies a while ago. I was like, well, the thing is, if you think about it, I've been a Jays fan for years, since the early 90s. And fancy name for elk. Nice. Okay, cool. Good to know. Thanks, Paul. I was going to say, so I've been a Jays fan since the early 90s. The first game I attended was in 91, when it was actually hard to get a ticket back then. And it was against the Baltimore Orioles. So I watched that game. And then obviously the Jays won in 92, they won in 93, so they were on the ascent. But the thing is, if you go back and look at the history of the Jays, like really look at the history of the Jays, from 77, they were an expansion team. They pretty much sucked until about 83. And that's why I joke with my buddy, who is the same age as I am. It's like, here's the thing. I was born in 83. So I said, they started getting decent the year we were born. So from 83, then they had a couple of opportunities in the 80s. They got close. And towards the late 80s, they started rounding into contendership. They started getting to the point that they could win divisions. And then it wasn't until they passed the Oakland A's, so 1992, when they finally passed the Oakland A's to get to the World Series. They won the back-to-back World Series. The strike came in 94. And then after that, it was just kind of hanging on. So really, if you want to take their window of being legitimate, the team started in 77. From 83 to 93 was their real window. If you want to stretch it and really stretch, and we're stretching, maybe I can stretch it to 98 when they had Roger Clemens, Jose Canseco, and they were trying, but the Yankees won 116 games that year, or 115 or 116, whatever it was. So like they weren't winning the division. It was a good team though, like on paper, a pretty good team, but they weren't winning. So if I want to stretch it to the best of my ability, I can give you a 15-year run until 98. Then they were just kind of there. From 98 until 2015. They're just there. So it's like, really, as a franchise, going from 77, they had about a 10-year span where they were legitimate, a 15-year span if I really push it, and then 2015, 2016, and that's the entire history of the franchise. That is the only time they were legitimate at any point. The rest of the time, they were mediocre to crummy. That's been the history of the Jays since 1977. They're not that good. As a franchise, they're actually pretty terrible. They're worse. They're better. They're just kind of there. So anything they can have in terms of drumming up enthusiasm, please, by all means, drum up some enthusiasm. I still enjoy the game. I'll still watch the game, but it's like I can't get too amped up about people trying to promote it. It's like, well, your livelihood depends on you promoting a product that it hasn't been good, except for like a 10-year window that ended in 93. Hard sell. Hard sell. That's for pretty long history for the franchise now. So you got to enjoy some hype. Come see the Jays get crushed by the nuclear power Yankees, the Red Sox, the inexplicable Jays. Yep. Why do people hype up the Dallas card show and the Nationals so hard? What is the big deal? It's a really big card show. People like the grandioseness of it. It's just a big, it's a big gathering. They want something that contrasts with like the smaller local shows. Here's what I'll say about that.
It depends on what you're looking for. I will say for me, the value of those shows decreases over time because I'm so narrow in my focus of stuff. The likelihood that one of those dealers has something I need, it's possible. That's why I said when I talked about the National, if I went to the National, I'd be looking vintage because I know there are some dealers who have that. And then, okay, there's a potential there for me. But I'm not going to the National for Medano. That's a fool's errand. That's a waste of my time. That's not going to work. Maybe get some Juan Soto. That might be all right. I might be able to do something there. But if they overprice it, then I'd be better off doing deals on eBay. I can get most of what I want on eBay. And if it's vintage, like I said, I'm sure there's some nice bargain bins where I can get some nice singles for some of my sets and stuff and probably do all right. But it's very specific. Like, I'm being really narrow and specific here. 99% of what's at the National is worthless to me. I don't like basketball. Don't care about it. I enjoy football, but I don't really collect it. I collect hockey, but I only collect very specific things. And baseball, I collect very specific players. So most of the National is useless to me.
A good part of the National is basically a social.
Correct. And that's the value. That is the value.
It's the true value.
Yeah, it's a gathering place. It's a gathering place.
Yeah, you'll do some deals. You'll find some stuff. You meet with friends. You maybe do some trades. I don't know.
Yeah. But that's to say, like from a adding to your collection standpoint, unless you're collecting certain things,
yeah,
it's worthless to you. And I'm not being mean about this. I'm just being honest. Like, I can go search every table at the National and probably come up dry almost every single time for most of the show until I get to the vintage, in which case there's certain dealers who are going to have stuff for me. Great. Maybe I can make some deals. That'll work out. That'll be awesome.
Or you're looking for some wax or maybe some memorabilia. Then you're right in line with what they have.
Yeah. So it's like, thing is, if you want to be seen, it's there. You can do that. If you want to do the YouTube stuff, hey, right now, this is the time. So
I think it'll be the greatest social event ever at the next National.
Sure.
If COVID wasn't so close, I would say it would be probably the biggest ever.
I will tell you, there's one that I never got around to, but I will try to get to at some point once we're a little past the current stage of the world. There's in White Plains, New York, there's the East Coast National. Historically, it's had some good vintage. So like I said, for that aspect of it, that historically has been a good potential spot to get some stuff.
New York, Cops head office for so many years.
Yeah,
Earlier office before they moved to Pennsylvania. So
yeah. So for me, that show has a much greater potential to yield some good stuff that I could pick up as opposed to the National. The National, like I said, you get the volume, you get the size, you get the gathering place, but then also you get the additional costs because, like, look at Chicago. If you wanted to go, if you were waiting for the official announcement or the semi-official announcement, try getting a hotel now.
Yeah.
Try getting a flight. Again, even forgetting about the pandemic, even forgetting about the difficulties. Let me snap my fingers and take that all away for you. You're going to have to pay an inflated price on the hotel or be really far away, and that's inconvenient. And then, like, oh my God, that would be just a pain.
It's about $2,500 to $3,000 just to go to the National for a few days.
Yeah.
Just, from Canada, from Toronto, let's just say.
And that's out of your card budget right now. So it's like,
what $2,500 card do you not want?
Yeah. It's like I said, unless you're playing in the stratosphere where you're buying $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 cards, it's like, this is useless to you.
$6 million.
Yeah. $6 million. Exactly. Or Ziggy Palfy cards,
or
go to Goats.
But I think the expo is looking good. The Toronto Expo. I venture that if it is happening and everyone can travel from the U.S., I anticipate it's going to be very busy.
I think so. But even that one, like I said, that one is more hockey centric, and I still barely buy stuff at it. So what does that tell you? I collect predominantly a hockey player, and I still barely buy stuff at the hockey show.
Look at how many folios are behind you.
Yeah.
You wonder why you don't.
Yeah, because I have a lot of the stuff that I need. A lot of the stuff they have, I have.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't need what you got. Like, it's got to be really specific, really obscure. I have a checklist. There are thousands of cards on it. Yeah. It's what it is, and I think I've mentioned this before. I think I've told the story, and I'll tell it quickly. My regular card show now is I'll get a hotel nearby so that I can chill out because I want to hang out after, and it's more convenient for that. So that's what I get it for. And I'll get a nice hotel room because then I can be really comfortable. I'll get a nice one. I'll splurge for the extra. But what happens is, no, some of them will be like, oh, we're there with like 3 people. I'm like, no, man, no. I will pay the freight. That room is for me, myself, and I. We're just going to chill, nice and comfortable, plenty of space. We're good. I'll pay the extra. But what happens is then I'll go to the show. I'll show up fashionably late because I don't care. Oh, but what if you miss the deal? Like, what deals? I don't care. I'll show up fashionably late. Then I'll go chill. And usually what I'll do is I'll go to a couple of guys that I know that are dealers there. And I'll grab a chair, pull up a chair, and we'll sit there and just shoot the breeze while they're dealing. I'm barely walking the floor most of the time. I'll walk the floor a little bit here and there, but it's like, I don't care. If somebody sells something that I miss, it happens.
I used to walk the floor a lot, but as the shift and change from vintage to newer stuff has changed with the dealers, I walk far less. Yeah. I used to, at the end of the weekends, I remember my feet were sore for a day. It was just like, but the concrete kills you, right?
Yeah, the thing is, I still find things, but most of the stuff I want is a lot more specific and obscure. And you know what? People aren't running to it.
Yeah.
I'm not buying the new hotness, so the likelihood is it's not getting sold out from 100 me 99 times out of 100. I can probably get what I want anyway.
How many young kids are going to be going through those little 5,000 count card boxes, looking for those great deals? Because I see a lot of that on the shows that people put on. Hey, you got to look at those little card boxes. You can do $10 card into a $50 card, and that's good for them because if you search long enough, you'll find something good.
I think you should be. I'm good with them being rewarded for the effort. If they're willing to put in the effort, I want them to be rewarded for putting in the time. There was a time in my life where I would go through those boxes myself. At this point, like if I lean over for like 45 minutes or an hour, my neck's going to start getting tight. It's like, nah, man, I'm good. I don't need this.
Like from about 2000 to about 2012, nobody went through those boxes. And then there was a little gap. And now in the last 4 years, I've been seeing people sit down and going through those boxes.
Right. That's
amazing
fair.
Change. But before, people didn't have time because there was so much on the table.
I'm glad. No, let them have their fun. I'm good with it.
Well, now certain cards have went up, so there's a lot of hidden gems out there that people really don't even realize, right?
Yes, for sure.
So it's good for them.
It gives the cherry pickers something to do, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
So Hockey August prediction is that Sports Investor attempts to host a show bigger than the National.
I would believe
it. I'm sure he'll try, but it's like, good luck with that. The logistics and costs on that are huge.
It'll be advertised better.
Oh, that for sure. Yeah, so Sasha T in San Diego Sports. So here we go. So Yannick, of course. So not knowing much about the Expo in Toronto, do they have a good venue? Okay, so let me take a stab at this, and then Bobby, you too.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes and no. Here's the thing, and this is where the Expo differs greatly from Dallas and the Expo and everything. It's over at the airport. So as a venue for the show, it's fine. It's at the International Center. It's this big, like, warehousey space and everything. Like, they can set things up.
It's an old hangar.
It's a hangar,
a massive hangar.
But. Absolutely. And the thing is, they can set it up pretty well. They can set up the tables and the spaces and the corporate areas and stuff. It's fine. But you're in the middle of basically nowhere. From the perspective of nearby restaurants and things, not really so great. You can find stuff. There are hotels and stuff nearby, but it's not. Let's put it this way. The Dallas Card Show, if you go look at those vlogs, there's a bunch of people that are there hanging out and doing trade nights and stuff, and that's happening at the hotel. Unless they build into it like a trading area, which doesn't exist today, then there really isn't a thing. That isn't a thing. They've got the eating area. They've got the show proper. They've got the eating area, which is improved. It's better than it used to be. The food used to be absolute garbage.
Well, that's the trading area now.
I guess so.
Well, you can't find a seat now because
it's going to have to be because there isn't anything else.
Someone gets a coffee and then they sit down for an hour and a half trading cards.
Yeah, but my point is, it's not ideally built to purpose. No. It's a good venue. Could it be a better venue? Yes, but considering space limitations, it's probably the best spot we can do. Like, it's got to have space. It's got to have physical space, and obviously hotels nearby, which it does. It's near the airport, and if you're flying in, you're nearby. So, like,
there's lots of third places though. Like within, a 5-minute drive, there's the best Ruth, Chris, the Keg. You have so many Zets.
No, for sure.
No,
for sure. But I don't want to overplay it. Like, it's not like Zets is a big venue. I've eaten at Zets quite a number of times. It's not that big.
It's not that big, but they serve how many people in an hour?
I do not doubt it.
Probably 500 or something.
What I'm trying to get at is if you add them all up together and then do it right, yes. And they've gotten better at it because they started to build some fast food places just outside now, which weren't there before.
What was that? The new sub shop there. What's it?
Yeah, the name escapes me. Is it Firehouse? Something like that?
Yeah, Firehouse. Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard
yeah.
they were really good. And then there's a
Yeah.
couple other small ones, A&W root beers there.
But that's an improvement. It wasn't there before. Before it was just like the Tim Hortons. Like that was it.
It was vacant land. It was
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly. So like it has gotten better. So that's my answer. It has gotten better, but it's not like it's an ideal location. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere by design. It's the only spot where they got the space required to do what they're trying to do.
But they have half decent food on site now.
Sure, yeah. It's gotten infinitely better than it used to be because I go back to the mid '90s going there. So it's like it's gotten infinitely better than it used to be. The show is not now. This show might break it up because it was. There were people there. A lot of folks on Saturday. Sunday would always be a super wind down. Friday was all right depending on when you showed up. But it was a lot quieter than it was back in the 90s. In late 90s, like the corporate section was buzzing. Like it was crazy. It was madness. But that's the late 90s. Because you had all those card companies working and doing things and handing out promos like they were going out of style and all kinds of stuff going on. But you still get, like on a Saturday at the busiest time, you'll still get some volume. Like it depends on when you go, the time, the day, all of that. Like I said, for me, it's just a chill out. I'm literally hanging out with somebody that I know and we're just hanging out shooting the breeze. And then I'll go buy a couple of cards here or there, walk away with it, and that's what I finish my week with.
Yeah, I'll be there promoting the new website and app at this next episode.
You're doing it as a booth?
Yeah, I'll have another booth. I had a booth there for only until the last 2 years. Then I was with Leland sitting there at their booth. They let me sell some stuff at the end there and what have you. So we dissolved our booth because we just found it was better just walking around buying stuff, hanging out again. We started at the beginning when we started hanging out and at other people's booths, and then we got a booth for so many years, and the price just kept going up, and we just said, nah, that's enough.
Okay.
It just becomes too much. And then we just, I don't know what we're doing this year. Well, I'll be setting up a booth for the book, but I might split with somebody. I guess the Beehive guys, they did a book for on beehives.
Okay, cool.
And it was supposed to come out, and I was supposed to split a booth with them so that they could sell their book, and then I could have because I think they're about $800 a booth. And then their book didn't make, and the unfortunate part is it's a very heavy book to ship, so it's like $20-something to ship it. So the cost of the book with being $55 plus the shipping, it's like a $75 book. So it was very hard for them to sell it with the shipping. So if they were at the site, they would probably close to sold out, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Would have sold out. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. No, that's one of those things. Like it's, I know that you've got a reply there, Yannick, so I'll get to it in 2 seconds. But we'll have to see. Like I said, if the November one goes off, I think it'll be fun. Like I said, for me, I'm not going to worry about it too much because I'll probably just do what I usually do. Hey, Steve, you got a chair? Yeah, man. Sit down. It's like, you're going to wander? It's like, nah, y'all bump into each other. I'm on this side. It's like, are you selling anything? Nope. I'm just sitting in my chair. Having fun. Watching all of y'all. So I'll do some people watching. That's what I do. So, sorry. Can the hangar be seen from space? Oh, if we wish. Maybe Comsy could sponsor me. They could see us from space.
It's a massive hangar.
It is a big hangar, yeah. No
it's
doubt.
not like you can't even really call it a hangar. It's almost like if you think hangar in your head, maybe multiply that times 5.
Yeah, well, the thing is they got multiple halls. So like I said, it depends on...
No, the one hangar is the one hangar. Then
I got you. But I'm saying depending on how they decide to configure it, because you have multiple halls, you could mess around with this and potentially combine a couple of halls and do some stuff if you wanted to. If you like, it's a and I may, if I was Steve Menzie, I would at least think about this, because maybe you do put in like a specified trader area, given the current state. That might be a wise move, because then it keeps them away from the main area, so they're not trying to do deals in the middle of the aisleway with dealers on both sides, like trying to do business. Maybe be like, hey guys, I got a space for you if you want to do this stuff over there. It's still in the hall. You can come back in, but you're right there, right beside. That might be a call.
How do people feel about that? Dealers feel about them coming in and having a place to trade when they're paying so much for booths?
Well, it's one of those things where it's become more of a, let's put it this way. It's always been a thing, but I think it has never been more of a thing than it is right now. So I think we're treading on new ground. So we're asking ourselves, we don't know yet. And obviously the Canadian ones have no experience with it yet. We haven't touched it. So I think, though, it would be wise to think ahead of time to be like, let's just plan this out a little bit first. Let's think about this one. I would at least make plans to have that available. Get a sponsor for it. It can be the ComC Trader area, whatever. I don't care. Come up with something.
Well, there is a section beside there where they usually have a high-profile guest signing.
Sure.
And the cafeteria is really at the front there, so they could actually have the cafeteria run off into another private area or make it that much bigger.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll get caught up here on these ones. So watch the thing on Ruth, Chris. YouTube thing, interesting backstory to franchise. Yes. Medieval times.
I've never seen it. No.
Nowhere close to the same place. Medieval times could not be much further away. It's over in Toronto. Like it's not near the International Center. I know they say it's in Toronto, but it's not near Toronto. It's Toronto-ish.
It's down at the X. Down at the X.
Medieval times is over at the X. It's not a hop, skip, and a jump. Can you get there? Yeah, but it's not a hop, skip, and a jump.
I've never been there. I've heard all about it, but it's just homie don't play those games.
Ooh, look at you.
Like that one, did you?
Oh yeah, very impressed. So yeah, planning on any deposit. Yeah, no. If November's a go, you should pop in. It's a fun time. Yeah, show on top of the CN Tower. I don't think you'd get much of a show there. Yeah, have an expo at the Rogers Center. Oh dear God. You physically probably have the space, but like I think it'd be one of those things where they'd find a way to destroy the turf. They'd find a way. I wouldn't trust that. Also, could you imagine if our food options were the Dome?
No.
That's what I mean. Like the venue
couldn't afford cards.
Yeah, I was being like, so do you want to spend all your money on overpriced hot dogs? Is that what you people want? My God.
And they're not even good. It's like they run them under hot water to heat them up or something.
It's like, I would like a beer. That would be a Lucas Silver Prism. Ah, God damn it.
I know.
You're going to have to trade the cards for the beer. That might be your best shot.
Better be a Stella.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, the food options have gotten better at the Dome. I will say that. The food options have gotten better. But it's all relative. Like, it was really crummy before, and now it's less crummy. Oh. So that's an improvement.
I guess so.
It's something. Look, we got to take our small victories here, Bobby. Small victories.
Just go have dinner before you go and grab some popcorn and call it a day.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where people love the concept, but now think of what I just said about the set. Think about the downtown core. Get a hotel at the downtown core. Now, the restaurant options, tremendous. By comparison, tremendous. In every direction. Pick a direction, I can find you a good place to eat.
Yep.
No doubt. That part, we fine. Getting a hotel room, yes, you can. You will pay through the teeth because it is a downtown core. It's not cheap.
And it's nice.
It absolutely can be, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely can be. You're going to need a lot more expensive.
Actually, it's always good if somebody does stay downtown and because they have a monorail that goes right up beside the expo now, right?
There is definitely one that goes by. I don't know if it's the. I think it might be actually. Yeah. I think it's the airport one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It branches off and it comes off.
But I'm saying it's that airport shuttle. It goes in that direction to the airport if you go all the way. Yeah. But I think if you stop short of that, then yes, I think you're beside the expo. I think that's right. Yep. Because they added that one later.
You go downtown. You stop in at the Hockey Hall of Fame some time before you come to the show, or make a nice little plan, and then you just buzz up there in no time.
Well, it's always funny when I talk about that area because in a past life, in one of my previous employers, I worked in the building that had the Hockey Hall of Fame in the bottom. Like literally in the bottom floor was the Hockey Hall of Fame. So one time my manager's like, all right, guys, we're taking the rest of the afternoon off, and then we'll go get drinks. Let's go to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like really? It was downstairs. Yeah, it was downstairs. It's like, what the heck? We'll wander around, and then when we're done, we'll go to the pub.
That's the worst food court in the world down there.
Oh, it is, but we didn't eat there. We actually went to the pub and then ate and had drinks there.
Oh, you went to Marché or something?
Well, I think there's a bunch of like sports pubs right around where you got the TVs and stuff. You can hang out, have a drink. You basically hang out with your teammates. So it was good. It was a good bonding exercise. And then we went to check out the Hall because I hadn't been to the Hall of Fame in years at that point. I had been earlier, but I hadn't been in years. I was like, what the heck? Sure, yeah. So I wandered around, looked at the exhibits. By that point, Medano had it displayed. I was like, oh, sweet. Hold on.
There you go.
Click. Nice. Took my pictures. It's like, hey, it's all right. The international section was nice, though. I will say they had done up the exhibits very nicely. So here, beer. Seems to be a lot of drinking at the Dallas show. Yes. Always a beer on the tables in the videos. I would hope so. And I would expect so.
How big is the Dallas show? I didn't get a perspective on the outside of the building.
It felt like it was a decent size. It's hard to gauge. It's really hard to gauge. Like
I think it's smaller than the Expo.
Oh, way smaller than the Expo. That
Okay.
part I'm confident. I still think the Expo is the second biggest. The Dallas show has made strides. I still think the Expo is the second largest in terms of number of dealers and space. Now, that gap may have narrowed, but I still think if we ran the show, especially in this environment, probably it'd still be the second biggest. The National is number one, but it'd be the second one. So can I imagine the crowd? Yes, I can. That's why I'm going to be behind the table where it's safe. Y'all deal with that nonsense. I'm just here to chill and grab a beer after. That's what I'm here for.
That's the worst part about when it's busy. Somebody goes, "Hey, did you see that on up this aisle there? This guy has this thing that we're looking for him." You try to get past these people, and they're all just in my way. It's crazy. Walking slow, doing all these.
But that's in the old days where it was old-fashioned busy. Now potentially we're going to be like, all right, so here's what you do. It's like Slapshot. Foil up. Let's just go, like we're going. Just start punching and elbowing your way through.
The sausage guy is going to be the highest selling dealer.
Oh my God. After that, he's gonna be wearing like Mr. T chains, and like Rolexes, and I'll be like, and by the way, I approve. I'm okay with all of that. I co-sign on that.
I don't like the sausage guy. It's like walking. I couldn't be beside him in the same row. There's no way.
That's a different conversation. I just want to see. Yeah. I just want to see what the Mr. T chains and the Rolexes after the show. It's like, oh my God, this is the greatest show I've ever done.
Well, actually, they do so well there. It's unbelievable. They do better than I'd say 90% of the dealers.
100%, yes, of course.
Because every booth I go to, they go, "Bobby, you want a sausage?"
The food is so expensive. Like the food is so expensive. It is.
Like pepperoni's little,
Yeah, I get it, but I'm saying the food is so expensive though. Like it's super. Like it is, and it's not great food. It never was. It's like I said, it's better than it was, but it was really crummy before. So
well, you can get quinoa salads. You can get a lot of different things there now. That's a little bit different. Not that I eat that stuff, but
well, why did you say quinoa salad? Oh, well, it changes my opinion entirely. The floor show was all about the show than the strip clubs. I believe it.
But yeah, they've been bringing in that burger place, and
yeah.
Some of the sandwiches aren't bad, except they put the wrong stuff on it. It's like, why don't you just leave it as an accoutrement on the side? Don't throw it on the sandwich, because not everybody likes Dijon mustard or cranberry relish or just some of the things they combine. I'm going, I don't want it. Otherwise, I'd get that turkey and cheese without the cranberry and whatever. Cranberry mayo or whatever it was on there, and some other arugula, and I don't like arugula. It's just like, come on, guys.
So if we do have the expo in November, what I'll promise you guys is that we'll do a post-expo show, and Bobby will critique the entire menu.
Oh, I could do that.
That's what I mean. No, but that's what I feel like. That's what needs to happen. Like at that point, like you will bring the expertise on the menu and critique it as it should be done. So yeah, Pelican case for cards and Pelican case for cold beers. That's fair. Sounds good. So here's what we'll do, guys. Right now, we're at just a little over 2 hours. I'm okay to go for a little bit longer. I can go refill my beer. But here's my question. Is there anything specific? We can talk about I don't want to talk about the virtual expo yet. I'd rather talk about the virtual expo next Friday, because we're going to be getting closer to the actual date, because I think isn't it the following weekend after that, or is it that weekend?
I haven't. I didn't sign up this time, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's free registration, whatever. So for me, it was like, yeah.
Well, I was there as a dealer the last 3
times. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I can't spend a weekend socializing.
Okay, so here it is. So sorry, it's about 2 weeks. So so it's the 19th and 20th. So next week's the 11th. That'll be about a week out. Yeah. So you know what? Next week we can at least chat about it a little bit. So that can be a thing for next week. So that'll be fine. And then we'll finish up any conversation about that on the Friday before, because it'll be so that'll be fine. We can always discuss it a little bit. There's not much to it. I will say, like in short version, it's nice in the sense that I like the application it uses. I don't mind it. It's basically like a live stream. Like it really is. It's like a live stream with certain features, chat features and all that, which is cool. It's fine. Yeah. But I'm in the same boat. A lot of the stuff that a lot of the dealers have, I don't need. If the dealers have a list or something, that's great because then I can go look myself, or a photo bucket or something where I can go check. That's awesome because that saves me time. I can check first, see if there's anything of interest to me before I even ask you. And that's always better. If a dealer does that, that's huge. But yeah, even the virtual version of the Expo, I run into the same problem. It's like, do I need anything here? Not really. I'll hang around a little bit, chat, but that's about it.
Well, I heard the show in November is going to be a 4-day show now.
That's right. That extra day is going to be an interesting wrinkle.
Is it on the Thursday or the Monday?
Yeah, Thursday. No,
they're going to do Thursday, Friday,
yeah.
Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. But then a lot of the dealers and stuff will come in the day before and do like a dinner and stuff. It's like, so now you got to do it Wednesday. So it's like
Wednesday,
a 5-day
Thursday,
show
Friday.
for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, that's brutal.
We're heading into national territory on that.
That's
right?
brutal. They have my sympathies. That's a lot. That extra day will kill some of them.
Oh yeah. And then my son's getting married on the Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah.
But
the one day, you know. Saturday's not a busy day, so it doesn't matter. I mean, everything will be over by whatever. So
nice. I think what's going to be interesting though is I'll think about it as we get. Once I'm comfortable that we're 100% to go, everything's good and all that, then I'll start making my plans accordingly. I don't mind sticking around for the extra day because for me it's just an extra vacation day in the fall. Because I know this summer I'm not going to be able to take many vacation days because work's going to ramp up. In the summer, a lot of the stuff is going to be... So basically the summer is like, they're like, like, look, if you want to take a day, cool. But if you need to take like days, wait until the fall. So it's like, so basically I'm getting, that stuff's getting pushed back to the fall no matter what.
Perfect.
So for me, it's like, I was kind of thinking that way anyway. So you know what? We're aligned. Sounds good.
Yeah, so dealers have to come in on Wednesday, load up, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's a 4-day. Wow.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. That's going to be real tough. I think for me, it'll just be the one extra day, which I don't mind. I will. Here's what I'll say. If we do it, I'll let you guys know in advance. I will vlog it, but I'm going to try to do it differently than a lot of other people do it because it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same experience. I'm going to try to take a different angle on it because it's like, well, I know I'm going to look around for sure, but I'm not going to run into rushes of people. That's not my thing. But I'll try to give a perspective. Maybe do like a time lapse from the dealer perspective. That'd be kind of fun.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, like there are ways it can be done because I'm not actually going to be a dealer there, but I can still be an observer and participate in that sense because I know enough of them that I can play. And we'll see. Maybe I can find some time to interview a couple of them and get their thoughts on some stuff. Like there's some stuff maybe we could play around with that would be a little different.
Your live show. You could do a live show right there. Friday.
Look,
well, that'd be fun.
Mike, the other time he was joking about getting a booth there. It's like, yeah, I don't think the internet's there is any good. I think it'd be crummy.
The Wi-Fi is not the greatest.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
I think they're looking at improving that though.
If they improve it,
especially now,
if they improve it, at least that could be funny. But it's like right now, it's crummy. Like,
it was crummy. I think, especially with all the, the comping going on and everybody looking, they need to really buff that up.
But could you imagine though? Like, I have to. Obviously, we're going to wait. Obviously, it's in the fall. But like, I was thinking about this, and I was like, could I do a live stream on Friday from like the hotel or something? It's like I could. I suppose I could.
Take the cab all the way in and then dropped off, and that'd be great.
No, that part I'm not so worried about. What I'm thinking about is,
well, you got to set us up. You got to give us some,
Yeah. What I'm thinking is, what I'm wondering is if, because if the hotel's internet would be fast enough to make it like work, like because you're talking about streaming, and I have my laptop, and I used to use the laptop for the live streams. In the earlier live streams I used to do, but it would like immediately the fan would go full blast. Like it's pushing the laptop. The laptop I have is an older one, so maybe I have to get a newer one. I could still have my microphone and stuff. Obviously I don't have dual screens. It'd be one screen, but
yeah.
I could still have a basic setup and still do the basic thing from the room. It wouldn't be that complicated, but yeah, I'll think about it. Like there's plenty of time, still time to think about how that would be approached. So have you watched the Card Collector 2 videos on how he puts together his new LCS? Yes, we have. Yep, we did talk about that one a little bit.
About that already, yeah.
Yep, and they did a great job on that series. I gave a ton of credit to it. I think they did a very good job. Sports Card Live Toronto with Nat Turner. Yes, that's right. I think we'll have to see. What happens with that one. I will catch that one on replay. As I've said it, I've been very upfront about it. It's like I can't do live interviews anymore. I can't. Just too slow for me. It kills me. I will watch it as soon as it's coming to its conclusion. I will begin it and hit two times speed, and we'll go from there. And if there's anything interesting come of it, I will check it out and and touch on it appropriately. So what does an LCS need to be the best in your opinion? Ooh, at this stage in the game, I really wouldn't go to an LCS. Well, that's not true. I'd go. Maybe the problem is it's been too long. It's been too long since I've gone to a proper card shop. I'm at the stage where it's like, look, do you serve a purpose for me, really? Not really.
No, not for you. You're particularly different.
Yeah, because
And for me, I'm particularly different too. Where they won't have the stuff that I'm looking for.
yeah, it's not even that. Like there used to be the social aspect of just hanging out, popping and say, hey, what's new? Maybe open a pack or two. Like nothing crazy, but like there was that aspect of it. But it would have to be like super convenient. You know what? Here's maybe the best answer I can give you. Convenient location.
Yeah.
If it's out of my way at this stage in the game, it would be a no-go for me. Like I cannot be bothered to go out of my way. Like eBay is so convenient for me. eBay's not perfect, but it's like I search the thing, I find the thing, I either make an offer, I buy it now, or I auction or whatever. I bid the thing, you send it to me. I go to the mailbox. So it's got to be something that's local. It's got to be something that's accessible. My younger brother is a comic book guy. We have a local comic shop that has been running for 25 years. It's still running. The same owner has been doing it for 2 different locations there, but it's still nearby. So he'll go every single Wednesday for the last 20 years, every Wednesday to get his comics. Now that it's, obviously we're in pandemic times, he can pre-order them. They'll put them in a bag for him and carefully hand it out with their mask on and everything, curbside pickup.
Yeah.
But they know him. They've been dealing with him for 20 years.
Wow.
He can just make his orders. They literally send them the list ahead of just about everybody else. They go, hey, Roberto, what do you need? So here you go. Here's the list of the new stuff. Let us know if you need anything. Yep, I want this. I want one of these. I want one of these. Okay, no problem. We'll have it for you in the bag. Shows up, grabs his stuff every Wednesday, like clockwork. Goes and gets his books. And if that's what you got, then it's great. Then yeah, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah, and if you're collecting new product and breaking wax, yeah, I get it. Are they going to get you stuff that you can't find on the internet? Highly unlikely.
Yeah.
It becomes more of a social, but I think the Sports Collector too, he's doing a little bit different. He's trying to utilize as many avenues as he can. And I give him 100% credit for that. Buying a building, there's nothing wrong with the investment in the real estate aspect of it. So you always have that to fall back on. But making it a local card shop, if you're in a nice, highly populated area, that'd be great.
And he's made it a beautiful space. He's made it a destination. So even for the folks in there that have to go a little bit out of the way, folks that are out of town, will make the trek to go over because the space is beautiful. I'll give you an example. The one in Toronto, what was it called? The one that was where the Tim Hortons was.
Legends?
Yes, thank you. Legends. When they originally had that whole section of the building, the displays and things, you'd go to visit the space. You'd go to look, even if you're not buying anything, you're just like, oh my God, look around. It's like a wonderland of stuff.
It was one of the best ever.
Yeah. So that is a destination.
That's true.
That would draw you in, just be like, look, just to look at the stuff.
Yeah, and they get new product all the time because
Correct.
people go in and sell their collections, and you're in one week, you go down the next Saturday, and all of a sudden they got some stuff. I remember, they had 72 wax packs. They were like $50 each. It's like,
yeah. But that was the thing is that, so they had tons of inventory at their heyday. We're talking. They had a beautiful space, a destination location, tons of inventory. And you have to think, like I said, you'd have to have been in Toronto at the time to really understand, like, especially in the late mid 90s, that was like the heyday of that. The Jays still had some carryover from the championships and stuff. And it was just up the street from the Dome. Like it was centrally located. And then just beside it, just over, you had a theater. And then you also had the,
Wayne Gretzky's, you had Don Cherry's restaurant.
But the one I'm thinking of is they had a Shopsy's TV City, which was a nice little restaurant over. It was just on the same street if you go over a little bit. And it was just this Shopsy's TV City where you go sit down, you had your food and stuff, and you'd have TVs at every single one of the booths because it was literally called TV City. So you just go there.
I think it's a Hooters now.
Probably. It's changed. Look, it's changed management like 3 or 4 times since then. But like, so you'd go get your cards, do your stuff, and then go to the restaurant, get your food, and maybe open your packs and stuff. Like it was a trip. You do multiple things. You were all in that area, and then you'd hit the GO train and head home because I live over in the suburbs. Physically, I live literally the train's right here. I could do that, but that location is gone. It's not there anymore. It's all finished. So it's like there hasn't been a local LCS in many a year. So that's why I say my younger brother has a good thing going where this comic book shop that still exists. The managers know what they're doing. They're still hanging in there. And they're resilient. They're resilient because they had a fire at the original location and they managed to rebuild once.
Wow.
So they could rebuild from a fire, which destroyed a ton of their inventory, and they rebuilt in another location. It's like the pandemic hasn't slowed them down either. I'm like, you guys are resilient. Good on you.
Yeah, comic books are really good. Yeah, it's almost like you have to be comic book stamps, coins, and sports cards.
They do cards as well, and
everything.
you can get wax from them if you want to.
Sure.
Their prices are not unreasonable. They're smart. They know what they're doing.
Supplies, all those things that you really need.
Yeah. So that's why I say, like, that's the closest thing I have to an LCS. If I want a box of something, I could order from the comic book store. When I want supplies, sometimes locally, I'll ask my brother in his trip on Wednesday, like, can you get me a couple of these, couple of these? He goes, yeah, no problem. Sure, I'll order for you.
Gotcha.
So it's like, but that's the closest thing we have to the LCS. So Dave's here says, I can't wait for Expo to be the talk of the town. That is true. That is accurate. Yeah, LCS needs beer and strippers for the YouTubers. Always about the strippers.
I thought it was always about the beer.
I think that would raise the price quite a bit. The beer, yes, but the strippers might raise your price a little bit. And then, how are you going to afford the content of your Pelican cases? You spend it all on strippers,
Exactly.
bruh. Especially now in the trading, we're in decline, guys. We're in decline. So that's why I was asking, what do you need to your local LCS? I still go to say hi once a month, get supplies, say hello. No, that's fair. Like I said, I don't have an LCS anymore. I haven't had one in, I'm not counting Legends. I haven't had an LCS 20 years.
I've been going to one for 20 years until, I guess, a year ago, he moved down to Queen Street. So I'm up at Scarborough Town Center area. Yeah. And he's down on Queen Street in the beaches. Mm. And he moved down there. And he keeps sending me emails. Bobby, why don't you come down and visit? And I go, and park where? To buy supplies at you for whatever. I never liked him anyway. So honestly, he was very unfriendly to people.
Got it. But no, but the other thing was so when I was growing up, and the closest thing we had, because we didn't really have an LCS locally. Like I said, Mississauga has a lot of people in it, but we're spaced out. We're super spaced out. Like it's this big, massive land with the people in it. But we were a lot of commercial areas and districts and stuff. And there were some card shops for a while that ran, but all of them struggled. None of them really hung in there. The closest thing we had was there were some flea markets where they had some dealers that set up shop. Like my local LCS for years was the flea market, and you had this dealer there who had been there for 20 years and stayed for 20 years and was consistently doing business in that flea market in that spot. And he would always get new product. He would order from Grosvenor and stuff like that, and he would get his stuff in. So he'd sell new boxes, new packs, and whatever, and get singles, and then open up boxes of it to get singles, put it in the thing, and that's how he'd have new product.
Is that Mike from Niagara Falls?
No, this is over Dixie Value Mall.
Oh, there in the basement.
Yep.
Yep. That used to be an antique place under there. And my dad used to live close to there about 25 years ago. Yeah.
Yep. There was a heyday though where that place was still going because there was a lot of dealers who did business because there were two card shops beside each other, two dealers. You could choose rip-off or super rip-off. Those are your choices. So usually I hung out with rip-off guy instead of super rip-off guy. So that's usually how that worked. So yeah, you had that one, and the only other card shop that I remember was like I said, you'd think a place with 700,000 people in it would have many cards. No. The other one that I remember was there was a card shop that was inside a bowling alley. So the bowling alley had these little shops that beside it, but most of them were not used. But one of them got used by this guy who ran a card shop, and one of the guys that would work for there during the week, a couple of hours, was one of the guys that would hang out, and we'd chat at the flea market.
Did it have an exterior where you could enter opposed to the bowling alley? Was it a double?
Not really. It was basically the entrance was at a bowling alley. Yeah,
that's kind of weird.
Listen. Mississauga's weird in general.
It is, yeah.
It's always weird. And I just sit there and the thing is, the reason I knew about that one is because I would bowl at the bowling alley and I just sit there, I was like, is that card shop? And then I could never figure out the hours. I would always look in and I'd be like, so are you open or not? And it's like, all right, I'm open. Great. Good to know. Like I said, Mississauga's weird. I lacked most of the LCS experience growing up. Not a lot of it. Not very good.
Well, Legends was mine, but I'd had to go downtown.
When I went downtown, Legends was fantastic. At the heyday, when I went downtown, Legends was great. That was a real card shop.
I'd go to the comic shop, the Silver Snail on Queen Street, and then the Red Dragon on Queen, and then I'd go up to Legends. That's the 80s.
Sure. Yeah. Like in Toronto area, you had a bunch, but a lot of them, like it depended on where you go. So you had Legends was good. The other one, I want to say one of them was called Fastball.
Oh, he was on. That's Steve Pennant. He was on.
Okay.
He was up in North York, and then he moved down to Yonge Street.
Yes, that's right.
And now he's gone. Now he just works out of his house now.
Yeah, the Yonge Street one is the one I remember. I remember that one.
I went there a few times. It's Yonge and Wellesley.
Yeah. So to say, like, you have to think, guys, like I have to stretch my memory to be like, I remember this one, like tells you how often I went to the LCS.
Yeah.
The flea market one was the best one we had because at least they had product. At least they had packs and boxes and things like that and singles of the new stuff. So when I would get my early Medanos in the mid 90s, I went there, they would open up the product, and then I would go through the singles to find the Medanos, grab them, and then that's how I built the early part of the collection. Not the ideal experience from LCS. So my nostalgic fond memories of the LCS are very minimal at best.
In the last, I guess, 15 years, most of the flea markets have had guys with supplies and cards and set up everywhere across.
Yeah, for sure.
Like mine was Pickering. I would go to the Pickering one, and now Pickering's closed now, so there's no more flea market out there. So now they all moved up to the 400 highway one, and that's almost Barrie. I'm not driving up to Barrie for supplies.
It was just inconvenient. And so a lot of times when I went to go get supplies or cards, it would be stuff like that. Or it would be like 401 Games, which was over at Yonge Street, which wasn't 401 Yonge Street until they moved, and then they moved again. And I don't know. I know they're all still on Yonge Street somewhere.
Are they?
Yeah, they're like they keep moving like further north. Like it's because you can order online. You can go to 401games.ca, but they're not a 401. They're still called 401 Games. It's like you haven't been a 401 in years. It used to be called 401 Games because it was 401 Yonge Street. 401. See, get it? Get it?
Toronto.
Get it?
12-lane highway going across the middle of Toronto is the 401. That's what we're talking about, guys.
No, that's what we're talking about in general, but they were at 401 Yonge Street. They actually were at that specific originally. And then it hasn't been in years.
They're probably up at the 401.
By this point, probably. So I'll get to a couple of boss comments here. So my LCS is a weird ex-Chinese restaurant. Nice. He's a decent breaker, does well with that. Nothing really I want. Very little for singles, great for supplies. But at least you get supplies, so that's good. He worked in LCS to grade 11 to first year college. Very progressive, was well lit, organized, and clean. That's nice. That's good. Versus some of the dungeons of the day. That's fair. David G here chiming in. Good evening, David G. I can imagine many hours of hockey cards and duck pin bowling. It was 10 pin. They had a full, that bowling alley was a full one. It was a Brunswick. And then it was a good bowling alley though in the day. Mind you, again, let's put it this way. I have more nostalgic feelings for the bowling alley than I do for the card shops today. Because I used to go bowling with Carlos Sr. And we would compete because Carlos Sr. was a very good bowler because he used to play in leagues in Panama. So he was actually an excellent bowler. And I have my bowling ball. I still got it in a closet here. I haven't bowled in years, but I've still got the ball because I have a drilled fingertip. So if any of you bowl, I've got my ball drilled for my hand.
But you've gotten older, so...
I have no doubt. It's one of those things I'd have to play for a while to get anywhere resembling.
Fingers change.
I haven't grown. I'd love to say I grew a lot, not that much.
It's age. Don't worry.
Yeah. So basically, I enjoyed playing though. It was fun because the league would let you play games, a certain amount of games per week to practice, and then you go play league games, and that was so that the fond memories were playing there. The card shop happened to be open when it happened to be open. It's only once in a blue moon. But the actual alley itself was decrepit. Like they had these really old, they eventually modernized it. But when they modernized it, then they made it like, oh, we've got Cosmic Ball. I'm like, shitty.
Oh, God.
It's
flashing lights everywhere.
It's trash.
Neon and, oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the way you know the difference is that the old bowling alley charged you by the game. The new one would charge you by the hour.
Oh.
When they charge you by the hour, it's
a minimum. And a minimum hour. You're an hour and 5 minutes. You got to pay for 2 hours. Oh,
not great. No, the by the game was where I was at because then it'd be like we would go play 3 or 4 games each, and we compete. And my dad was a very good bowler, but that's how you get better. You play against somebody who actually knows how to play. Well, you get better. That's the only way. So Yeah, Yannick's lucky. He has a small shop in about 10 minutes. Old school fella. Very nice. He's a hockey guy. Always keeps good baseball cards. Mostly go for supplies. No, that's good.
Lucky.
I'm always card shows and stuff. I've been going card shows for a long time. Card shops. I am a little envious of the guys who had a proper card shop back in the day. A proper card shop.
Yeah, because you would want to patronize them because
Of course.
you like going there and you like talking to the guy and he's friendly and they'll give you a deal here and there. Those are the kind of guys you want. I would never had one. I never really had one of those kind of guys or shops.
No, I dealt with the shysters that I had to deal with back then. That's like to borrow Dave's phrase. They joke about their charlatans, and it's like, dude, I've been dealing with charlatans since day one. They were there in the '90s. I promise you, they were there.
Yeah,
I was dealing with them back then, so that's why I'm used to it. So it doesn't bother me very much. I'm inoculated at this point from that, so it happens. Yeah. So the Big Lebowski. I don't roll on Shabbos. Nice. But yeah, so there's some old LCS memories. Unfortunately, Bobby, I can't help you with good nostalgia. We can speak nicely about Legends. It was beautiful to visit. It was great. It was fun.
I bought a lot of stuff there.
Yeah. Terrible inflation. My pack of penny sleeves went from 85 to 99 cents. Trust me, dude. It's like I think the penny sleeves are up to like $2 a pack around these parts, give or take. So they're not penny sleeves anymore. They're 2 penny sleeves.
See, Legends, we'd have to go down on Saturdays, so that was half your day.
Yeah, but I think
traveling when
I went to Legends, I would make a day out of it. It was basically because for me it was just getting on the GO train, going down, getting off at Union, and then walking up, and like I said, I would go there, then we'd go eat, and then maybe we'd hang around, do some stuff, and basically we'd spend the whole afternoon and then head back. Later on, once Legends started to decline a little bit, I'd still visit, but I'd go do that one, and then I would go visit Sonic Boom, the record store. That was because then you'd make a trip out of it. You go, I'll visit this, and then I'll visit that, and 2 different shops. Sonic Boom's still fun. Well, obviously pre-pandemic, they're still there, but Sonic Boom's a nice little store. I'll still, that's the kind of place that is like when I'm allowed to and we can do it again, I would be happy to patronize it again because I still enjoy like. It's about the same. I can buy it on Amazon, but it's like, no, I like visiting the little store and picking up my stuff, and yeah, that's cool. It's fun.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Not everything is bought on eBay.
Yeah, I'll pay a small premium to patronize a store that still keeps that alive because it's still a nice experience to go visit the store where they stock it nicely and put some good stuff there.
My brother-in-law, I tried to keep ordering the McPizza, but they still ended.
Despite your best efforts to keep the McPizza alive.
It was actually good. It had this. It was kind of crispy on the bottom. It had this, what do they call that? The crust on the bottom. It had, I can't remember. Cornmeal. It was cornmeal, so it wouldn't stick or it would slide. It was nice and it was well done. Very well done.
Sounds fair.
It wasn't a top end kind of thing, but it was better than most of the other stuff.
But would President Bobby tolerate this? President Bobby has very high standards.
No, Bobby still likes a good burger and fries at the old Junker,
I see.
Mm-hmm.
I sense some inconsistency in your culinary taste here, Bobby. Like I'm getting confused. Like I thought we needed filet mignon. I thought we needed,
No.
Michelin stars. Like what are we doing here?
No Michelin stars. I'm not actually. That's too far gone.
That's a bridge too far, is it?
They got a lot too money for lesser. No,
I see.
It's just value and quality. People order in a lot and they don't realize how much money they're spending because actually you can afford a huge rib steak for what you just sent out to get McDonald's and paid your dasher for.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair. So here, Fresh Bet says only 2 shops left here in Halifax. Yeah. No, like the card shop in most places. That's why I said. That's why I gave so much credit to Card Collector 2. He created a destination for himself and promoted it through social media very cleverly where he can convince people from out of town. He's not relying just on Columbus folk. He's built a place that looks in such a way, design-wise, aesthetic-wise. I would imagine the vibe's really good inside the store because they made it look beautiful. Like they have these custom counters and like they display the cards beautifully and like you've got the boxes nicely organized and he's got a lot of inventory and all that good. You've created a destination so that some folks are like, oh, I happen to be by Columbus. Hold on, let me make a trip. Let me divert and make the effort to pop in and patronize while I'm here because they also sell merch. He's got Card Collector 2 merch. He's got the grading stuff. Like he's got all these other additional revenue avenues. Plus he's got a website. You can order through the website too.
Yep.
So it's like Give yourself as many options. This is what a modern card shop will do. And I'm sure if the opportunity presents itself, it'll probably create a breaking area. Like there's so many things you can do today to give yourself all those avenues. A lot of modern card shops will do that. They're not relying on, just traffic through the door. No. You do that, you die.
Yeah.
You do that and just rely on that. Oh yeah, we'll just do it the old way. Well, then enjoy dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you gotta convince people to come in. You gotta convince people to patronize. Even if all they're doing is visiting. Well, I'll buy a shirt while I'm here. Okay, well, great. That's still money for the store. Doesn't matter.
Yep. You lead a horse to water. Well, you can't make him drink. But I mean, when in Rome,
if you went out of your way, you went out of your way to visit because they made it a destination, the odds of you buying something before you leave are
75%.
Yeah, you've given yourself a good chance.
Supplies, one pack,
anything,
a card, a small card. You're going to spend $5 or $10, $20, right?
And you add that up over time, that will keep you going.
50 guys doing that every month? Not bad.
That'll keep you going. Paul here says cornmeal is a nice addition to pizza. There you go.
Yep.
Fair.
It just kept the bottom from sticking. So.
All right. Sounds fair. So guys, here's what we got. We've covered the main issues I wanted to and wax nostalgic about our lack of LCS. Old car shows and lack of LCS. So.
Sorry, we're very Toronto-centric on that.
Yeah, I can't help you, unfortunately. I don't have too much good to help you. I've done the math on breaks. You can do very well if you're able to source properly. Agreed, 100%. Have a good night, Sanders Sador. So in that vein, it is midnight in the East Coast.
Yes.
I'm good, but at the same time, just now as we're ending, I can go watch my AEW. The show's done. Now I can watch it on replay. But if there's something you guys want to touch on, we definitely can. We've touched on the Ruth thing. We've talked about it. We'll talk about the virtual expo. We'll start touching on it next week. So we've got something to talk about. We'll definitely do that. If there's any new news, we'll touch on that too for sure. Is there anything else in particular you guys want to touch on? Otherwise, we'll take off and I'll watch my AEW and I'll send you guys to go watch the crossover if you want to, because that should be on now.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So you got options. If you still want to watch some hobby stuff, the crossover should probably still be on. Should be on by now, I think. Well, actually, I don't see it on here.
It's 12 o'clock right now. 12:02.
Maybe they haven't started yet. Okay, well, in a couple of minutes, the crossover will be on. That'll be your choice. It hasn't started yet. I don't see it.
They're like you, fashionably late. I was actually today.
Yeah.
I always come in at the last second. So
sounds good. All right. Well, that was your chance. So Yannick's out. Have yourself a good night. Sounds good. So I think we'll go good here. We already did the show on Tuesday and we did the show today. So I think that's solid. So thank you all.
Yep.
The chat. Awesome comments. Thank you for the questions and thoughts. We were able to go down a couple of avenues and have some fun. Be back next Friday. The Tuesday show was just a special show since there was a good story to talk about and Dave and Steve were taking the week off. So probably they'll be doing their thing Tuesday, 8:05. Insert Revolution podcast. You can check out on the YouTube channel of the same name. So that'll be that. Otherwise, that's it for me and Bobby. Enjoy your Friday if you're still on the West Coast. If you're on the East Coast, enjoy your Saturday and the rest of your weekend.
I know.
Have a good one.